Thank you. Well, also this evening is a beautiful evening. I have to say, a kind of a joyous occasion because all the top mind leaders are here from the industry. So indeed, it's going to be a memorable evening for all of us. And as I say, as we all say, that before start anything auspicious and joyous, we should start with the big smiles on our faces, everybody. And I have to be very honest, I'm having a very hard time to spot a smiley face in this evening. You know what? Amazing fact about human, once again. Any average, on an every average day, any woman smiles 60 times a day, whereas on an average day, any man smiles only 18 times a day. So I request all the wonderful gentlemen sitting here, let's start this evening with the big smiles on our faces and a round of applause, everybody. Let's do this all together. Thank you very much. And also with a pact, as we just started 2025, all the wonderful gentlemen sitting here, let's smile often. Can you do that? All the lovely gentlemen in the house? Can you smile? Yes? Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, this is not an ordinary evening. This is not an ordinary room. And indeed, this is not an ordinary summit. You ask me why? Ask me why? Because this room is filled with distinguished leaders from the industry, some extraordinary minds, and that's the reason this evening is not ordinary. Ladies and gentlemen, I extend the warmest and the loudest welcome to each one of you present here. All the distinguished personalities, our guests, dear parents, all the charming minds of the industry, and our dear parents. A round of applause, first of all, for all of us for being here and gracing this beautiful, wonderful evening by your presence. Well, I am Ashita Verma, and I extend the warmest welcome, and I am honored and thrilled to be a part of this beautiful and wonderful evening. I extend the warmest welcome to Right to Excellence Online School Summit 2025, ladies and gentlemen, by the Times of India, empowering India with the edge of online schooling. Can we restart with more power, with more energy? And a knowledge partner, 21K School, where every learner finds their path. A round of applause for them as well, ladies and gentlemen. You know one thing about me, I read a lot. And this morning I read a beautiful quote which says, education is the most important and powerful weapon which can change the world. Ladies and gentlemen, learning is the only thing which can't be taken away. No one and nothing can take away. And we talk about, India to be the world leader soon. We have to accept the futuristic India, the future of India should be empowered. When it comes to the future, it always and always belongs to our little wonderful children. And how we can empower them in order to empower each and every industry of the country. The answer is simple, education. But think about people who are coming from rural areas, cities, states, where connectivity is a major issue. So ladies and gentlemen, we are here to solve that and to empower India together with the cutting edge technology that is the online schooling. I want to say a big thank you to each one of you. As Gurukul always says, that before parents, teachers comes. So I will greet you all by saying namaste and thank you for being the pillar of the education system. Ladies and gentlemen, this summit makes the launch of the Times of India's new campaign, India's School Online, dedicated to India's journey towards a new era of progressive online schooling. Our knowledge partner for this campaign and today's summit is 21K School, envisions a world where every child embarks on a journey of self-discovery, empowered to shape their future and make meaningful contributions to the society, building a future that truly belongs to them. Let's give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are honored to bring together an incredible lineup of speakers, including policymakers and industry leaders, who will share their value, insights, and perspectives with us. At the Times of India, we believe that India's future success across all sectors hinges on the collaboration and collective efforts. And looking around this room, I see a gathering of extraordinary leaders ready to drive this vision together. Ladies and gentlemen, I read one more beautiful quote this morning which says, if you want to do something good in your life, it's totally okay to walk alone. But if you want to do something historical in your life, you will always and always have to walk with a team. I think this is a team working towards empowered India. As our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi says always that by 2047, India should be at least second largest economy of this world. And with this kind of vision, I think we are on the right path. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, once again, with more power, with more energy, please put your hands together and welcoming each one of you to Right to Excellence Online School Summit 2025 by the Times of India, empowering India with the edge of online schooling. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, one more important information. The show is being live streamed across Times of India website, app, and social handles. And as we always say, in order to start any kind of auspicious and joyous occasion, we should always greet to the supreme power by lighting a flame. Let's quickly proceed for the lighting of lamp and symbolizing enlightenment and power of knowledge in the digital era. Please do join me to welcome these distinguished personalities on stage by putting your hands together. Please join me to welcome Mr. Yashwant Raj Parasmal, everybody, founder and CEO, 21K School. Join me to welcome him with the biggest and the loudest round of applause. So please do join us. Ms. Aruna Shetty, Head of Schools, 21K School. Join us, everybody. Dr. Senthil Kumaran, Chief Confluencer and Co-founder. Please join us to welcome Professor Pankaj Arora, Chairperson, NIOS, and Chairman, NCTE. Join us to welcome Mr. Arun Rajamani, is the Managing Director of Cambridge University Press and Assessment South Asia. Join us to welcome Dr. Joseph Emmanuel, everybody, CEO, CISCE. Please join us to welcome Mr. Roni Screwala, a first-generation Indian entrepreneur, philanthropist, opinion leader, and author. Join us to welcome Mr. Anirudh Kumar, Additional Director, Education and Research Network, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. But before that, let's have a look, ladies and gentlemen. We have a very special screening planned. But I think, first of all, can we have a round of applause, everybody? Yes? May I request everybody? All right. Let's have the lighting of lamp. I think we can also participate by putting your hands together, everybody. So by lighting a flame, let's start. with one feeling of determination and empowerment. Let's have one group photography session. Let's have one group picture together, gentlemen and ladies. Yes? All right, thank you very much. On this note, let's proceed ahead for the keynote, a very special keynote address, ladies and gentlemen, where we're gonna talk or listen about empowering students through innovation and future-ready education. For this special keynote address, let me invite Professor Pankaj Arora, Chairperson, NIOS, and Chairman, NCTE. Please help me to welcome him on stage. Professor Pankaj Arora has been serving as a Chairperson, National Council for Teacher Education, Ministry of Education, New Delhi since May 2024. He has an additional charge of Chairperson, National Institute of Open Schooling. He's a professor of education in Department of Education, University of Delhi, around 27 years, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Arora has authored numerous articles and presented research papers in various national and international conferences. Thank you, Professor Arora, for being here with us. All over to you.
Good evening, namaskar, esteemed guests, educators, parents, and students. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the organizers of this summit, Right to Excellence, which I believe is everybody's right to get excellence, whatever we are looking for. And this is specifically for online school education. So, right to education is an old story now, which came in the year 2009. And I'm glad to note that in 2025, we are talking of right to excellence in education. And this gives me an opportunity to present my ideas on this theme. Efforts in bringing together such a diverse group of thought leaders, educators, and policymakers on a platform like this to reshape how Bharat learns is truly commendable, and my compliments to the organizers, especially to 21K schools. It is a thorough initiative like this that we continue to push the boundaries of what education can achieve for our society. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity and contribute to look forward to continuing this important conversation with you all this evening. The theme of the summit, Accessible Online Education. NEP 2020 has promoted the idea of quality education, which should be accessible, affordable to all the individuals in the society. And this also emphasizes that the education should not only be accessible, but also should be full of quality. And for that only, today we are here to discuss the right to excellence in online school education. This accessibility, equality, and integration of technology in education is much needed area of present time. In the era of rapid changes in the society, education must evolve to equip learners with the skills and mindset needed for the future. This transformation is driven by the vision of policymakers, the dedication of educators, and insights of thought leaders, all working together to redefine learning for next generation. As chairperson, NIOS, National Institute for Open Schooling, many of us must be familiar with this idea of NIOS because this initiative was taken in the year 1989 by the government of India. And this platform is, the title of this platform is proposing open schooling. So open schooling means no formal boundaries, no formal structure, no formal timetable, no formal examination schedule. People can opt examination according to their choice, according to their comfort. They can opt subjects according to their choice and according to their potential. I have witnessed firsthand the potential of online schooling to democratize education. I see online education as a platform which allow people to be more democratic in their approach while discussing their ideas. However, I have also seen the challenges that come with this shift, and those were the challenges we were discussing in the conference hall. Today, I will share my thoughts on how we can harness the strengths and the weaknesses or the challenges of online education. There are certain things which are limiting it, but the critical role of teacher education in online era of NEP 2020 is also promoting for all of us to go for, which one? If I see NEP 2020, I used to call it a paradigm shift in the context of education as a whole and school education as a specific. NEP 2020 has provided these 6 important aspects of education: equitable and vibrant knowledge society, cultural identity and national pride is core of Education Policy 2020. Global knowledge superpower, we want to be and we are working towards that. Flexibility in learning pathways is very, very important. Inculcation of values among young generation and global citizenship and responsibility for the next generation. Need to reimagining education is, one, to access to education. For that, we need to have technology in place. Equity and inclusion are the guiding principles for such initiative, and flexibility in learning is going to be the game changer, because flexibility in learning is something which allows students to learn in their own style. In the year 2019, I got opportunity to be the convener of Curriculum Revision Committee at University of Delhi. And the then Vice Chancellor of University of Delhi advised me that today's students do not study during the daytime. They can study in midnight. They can study during traveling by metro. So allow them to have readings very, very precise, very, very selective, very, very limited, and give hyperlink of those readings in the curriculum itself. So student can, when their mood is there to go deep dive into the context, they can just click it there, reading can be opened, and that is the beauty of flexibility of learning style and learning timings. I know as chairperson of NCT, teacher training and capacity building is another important aspect, because we adult minds find it very, very difficult to go with change. We resist the change, and we should know that education cannot wait and the future is now. As she was proposing, by the year 2047, if we want to be second largest economy of the world, that economy automatically will not bring a Viksit Bharat for us. Viksit Bharat is a wider concept, not limited to economy. But social sector, education sector are equal important domain of that Viksit Bharat vision. Why are we talking of online schooling in this present time? One, bridging gaps in access to quality education across regions. Why quality teachers, why branded education institutions are catering to a limited number of students? Why can they not reach to a big number of students across the world, across India, across South Asia. Two, online school education provides a flexibility in learning pathways to cater to individual students' needs. This is very important. The way I was just discussing over a cup of tea, in NIOS, we had students from divergent background. A common understanding about NIOS is that people who cannot cope with the school formal education system or who are pushed out or who are drop out generally opt for open schooling. That is not the true picture of open schooling. Open schooling today, this year, we have 6 lakh students enrolled with us in NIOS. NIOS is giving them a flexibility to go for public examination 2 times a year. And very recently, around 6 months back, we came with the idea of on-demand examination, where student can demand, go in the portal, see the blocks and opt when I want to appear for an exam of physics, when I want to appear for an exam of music, and a student can opt 2 papers every month and multiple chances are given to a student. Chances are not limited. That way, student can complete their formal education and a certificate of NIOS can be granted to them. This is also important to understand. Through this flexible mode of learning, NIOS has produced multiple Bollywood stars, cricket people, as well as industrialists, sports people. In 35th Foundation Day, recently we celebrated at Vigyan Bhavan, and there we had 10 alumnus came from different parts of the country. One of them was an international shooter who has won 48 medals for the country, and he is pursuing his class 10 through open school. Another girl who was deaf and dumb was an international swimmer, and she was there, and she was able to continue her education just because of this flexibility of NIOS. So these flexible calendars, she said, I cannot cope up with regular timetable, homework, project, unit end examination, term end examination, summative, formative assessment, and so on. So she found NIOS flexibility and continued her formal education. Third objective of why online schooling is personalized learning experiences powered by technology. During COVID days, many of us found that technology-based classrooms are equally good. Majority of us found it not that good, not a substitution of a regular classroom, but at least technology saved one important year of young people not to get a 0 year in their life, but to continue their formal education of school level or at higher education level. So personalized experiences are possible through technology, and this is evolving as an effective strategy for online education at school level. Now, if we talk about the context of NIOS for online schooling, National Institute of Open Schooling is a key institution in India that open and distance learning ecosystem providing flexible learning opportunities to millions of learners. Till date, NIOS has certified 28 lakh students in the country. And our target is to bring all the students in fold who are not in the formal school education through an Ullas app. Ullas, which is an initiative of Government of India to promote literacy among illiterates. And for Ullas, this year only, NIOS has certified 1 crore 10 lakh individuals as certified literate people in the country. Now this NIOS is proposing model for blending learning because that is the need of the time. That incorporates digital resources, SLM, and online assessment by leveraging technology. Teacher training for online pedagogy is very, very important. As I mentioned earlier, we adults have our own reservations, our own mental blocks in coming forth for online education. So teachers training for online pedagogy, capacity building programs, including online teacher strategies, cyber safety training, and innovative assessment techniques is very, very important, for which NCT is also initiating teacher education in context of digital pedagogy. Visionary institutions for the future of online schooling. Now, this education is also possible through online platforms. And blueprint for India's online ecosystem is flexible learning models, digital content, and skill-based education. Addressing the challenge. Now, there are two important challenges. One is quality and credibility. Other is social and emotional development, about which the anchor was also mentioning. Because in quality and credibility, concerns over maintaining academic rigor, assessment integrity, and accreditation in online education. Social and emotional development because of lack of peer interactions, teamwork, and offline engagement, leading to potential isolation and reduced social skills among young people. There are cyber security and safety concerns also. Risk of cyber threats such as data breaches, scams, cyberbullying, artificial intelligence use in preparing your assignments and projects is one challenge. Digital divide is another challenge. Unequal access to technology and internet connectivity, especially in rural and economically weaker section people. But a critical role of teacher education can help us overcoming these challenges. One is, as I mentioned, digital pedagogy is need of the hour. NCT is committed to bring digital teacher training in place very soon. Key initiatives of NCT, which are integrated teacher education modules, having a strong component of technology-based pedagogy, call for collaborative actions, collaborative partnerships in different regions of the country. We all understand teachers remain central to the learning process, and no algorithm can replace a well-trained educator. That we all understand and appreciate. But still, now we do not have any choice between an online education or offline education, but blended mode, hand-in-hand support of both the modules is very, very important for all of us. NCT's role in empowering educators. NCT is also playing an important role by promoting practical exposure to students. CPD, where we are bringing, again, I'll refer to the, your name? Ashita, who was mentioning mentoring system was there in place in the country. And NCT has came out with a app-based mentoring model for the country, where we already have around 1,000 mentors and around 70,000 mentees who are exchanging their ideas and sharing their experiences through that app. Professional standards for teachers is another challenge. To teach effectively online, educators need more than technical skills. They need a mindset shift. This is very important. This is where NCT's leadership in teacher preparation becomes critical. Beyond online schooling, exploring alternatives is hybrid model, competency-based learning platforms we need to explore. We need to look at project-based experiential learning, which can supplement the idea of online education, and learning communities and mentorship circles, which is supporting to the idea of online schooling. The way forward is hybrid learning. The best of both worlds should be there. Policies to bridge the digital divide and to ensure equity. Parent-first, child-centered approach to education is required. Creating an ecosystem where every learner thrives, every teacher is empowered, and every stakeholder works together to build a resilient, safe, and inclusive system of education for the country. Call to action for educators. Educators like me need to embrace continuity in learning and adaptability. For institutions, invest in digital infrastructure, teacher training, and technology. For parents, we need to support and empower young children during their learning journey. For students, they need to have ownership of the learning, either it is through offline mode or through online mode. And for policymakers, we need to come out in a supporting digital and hybrid learning modules for the country. Thank you very much. And I wish this summit a grand success, not because this is about excellence, but also because this is need of the time. Thank you.
Well, and I would say what a powerful and extraordinary start for the right man. Ladies and gentlemen, I request you a round of applause for him for such a wonderful and informed, I would say, presentation. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed any further, as we all know, this room is filled with distinguished leaders. And we all are here to learn, to evolve, to collaborate, and to do something exceptional and extraordinary for the country, for the world. So we are here, so many upcoming sessions, so many wonderful speakers will be joining us. But just for the information, we also have planned for the networking dinner. So please stay tuned till the last. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are here proceeding towards a very special segment, which is called the book launch. May I request the console before I invite the distinguished personalities on stage for the book launch? Can we have the AV?
In a world where learning should unlock potential, many are left struggling to keep up. Eyes dart between the teacher's blackboard and their half-finished notes. A hesitant hand raised, unnoticed. Too many students, too little time. A rather pile of homework lands on the desk. Another night lost to silence instead of discovery. Mode of learning could be different. What if schools could be more? What if education wasn't limited by walls, by schedules, by one-size-fits-all approach? This is 21K School. Here, a student in Mumbai collaborates with a classmate in Dubai. A mentor in Bengaluru guides a journey in Delhi. Learning is no longer passive. It's interactive, adaptive, and personalized.
I love the digital library. Instead of watching more series on Netflix or whatever, I go to digital library and watch some of those videos. It's also entertaining and humor.
The activities abound, online and offline.
So when you are actually studying, is it a very interactive class?
Yes.
Here teachers don't just instruct, they mentor, engage and guide.
But in 21K School, they're less like teachers and more like mentors, personally. You can go to any teacher and ask for help, and they will help you.
Technology isn't just a tool, it's an enabler. And parents, they aren't bystanders, they're partners in their child's journey.
I got this, new definition which is coming about lifelong learning, where it basically talks about the child should be able to solve his or her own problem.
Quality learning, proven results, and a future-first approach. This is schooling for the next generation. This is where every learner finds their path.
Wow, it should go without saying, isn't it? Now education has no boundaries. I personally want to congratulate 21K School for this wonderful initiative. I have to say this is the future of education, ladies and gentlemen. On this note, may I request all the distinguished personalities on stage for the unveil, for the book launch. Please do join me to welcome on stage Mr. Yashwant Raj Parasmal, everybody. Join me to welcome him, founder and CEO, 21K School. Dr. Senthil Kumaran, please sir to join us. Professor Pankaj Arora, sir, please do join us. I think we can be here on the stage for the book launch. May I request Mr. Arun Rajamani, please do join us. Dr. Joseph, please do join us. And Mr. Roni Screwwala, please do join us. You must be wondering about the books, how to get these books So let me tell you, in our registration desk, after the summit, you can collect some. Ladies and gentlemen, 101 stories of grit, growth, and the future of schooling. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. So here, let's quickly proceed for the first fireside chat, ladies and gentlemen. As I can read faces, that's one of my special skills, and I can see many of us waiting for this particular segment. With that inspiring launch, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the first fire chat of the summit. Our first session begins with fireside chat, which is future-proofing education and careers in disruptive world with Mr. Roni, everybody Screwwala. Please do join us to welcome Mr. Roni Screwwala, a first-generation Indian entrepreneur, philanthropist, and opinion leader and author. Roni's first foray was cable TV in India. He was credited with having pioneered cable TV for India. Roni went on to build a media and entertainment company, UTV. It scaled to a size of spanning all aspects of content and platform, and then here we are, UTV to the Walt Disney Company in 2012. In spite of so many failures, here we are welcoming him with the utmost round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, because rated him one of the 75 most influential people on the 21st century and Fortune as Asia's 25 most powerful. He has also authored 2 books, Dream with Your Eyes Open and Skill It and Kill It. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome. Put your hands together. Can you welcome him? Mr. Roni Screwwala. So we are really honored and thrilled to have you here. Thank you. And now, please do join me to welcome everybody for the chair. Mr. Daksh Sethi, please help me to welcome. He is a founder, Gubi Rogers, and the Wolf Media Company, 4 times TEDx speaker, Josh Talk speaker, education, branding, architect, and a serial entrepreneur. Everybody, help me to welcome both the gentlemen on stage. Thank you very much.
All right, I hope I'm audible till the back. Yes, all right, I'm sure everybody's been looking forward to this conversation. Mr. Screwwala, thank you so much for joining us for this interesting conversation. I have a set of questions for you, and I'm sure that the audience is going to be equally excited to know a little more about you and your background in sense, your online schooling. Now, let's talk about your school days. Let's just rewind the clock and go back in time. How were your school days back in the day, and how is it different from what you see today?
I think the best memories you carry in life are actually your school days. I think the deepest friendships you form are in your school days. And the most you learn and the open-mindedness comes from your school days. So frankly, I think for all of us, even when people have amnesia, I think the first thing you go back is 30 years, 20 years into your life. So it's the closest and fondest memories. It's also the most important part of your life. And I think that's something. I came from a lower middle class family. So for me, schooling was really a very collaborative exercise. Some people take sports. I think I was blessed to be inclined towards theater. And I think theater taught me everything that I wanted to know today, which is soft skills, collaborativeness, participation, sense of self-confidence. I think if I'm sitting here, I think today the younger generation can just look at self-confidence. That's part of where you want to go. So I think since when I am to now, I've been very, very closely associated. And today the aspirations and ambitions of young people in India is just incredible. It's a very balanced growth. They're wired very differently. Their inquisitiveness and their curiosities are at a different level. I think the biggest challenge here is their sense of expectation of what they need is actually getting higher and higher. And I think if we disappoint them, we won't just disappoint ourselves, we'll disappoint them. So therefore, I think keeping a dynamic environment of change for all of us. I don't think it's a question of do we need to change our mindsets. I think we'll be doing this next 5 generations a lot of harm if we are not being able to understand where they come from and serve their aspirations.
Just to follow up on that, you're somebody who's pioneered, the online learning space. How do you think that people are changing and evolving in the sense, how is it that they're evolving in consuming information and also reacting to online learning?
See, I think you should look at things as choice. I mean, again, I think the choices we make are the most important. So online is not here to necessarily look at something that's replacing it. I think you're giving optionality and you're giving choice. And that is the bedrock of that. If you look at this as a change or it's an also and, that becomes a problem. So I think the optionality is what excites us. If you look at the working professional, our GRE ratios show that 75 out of 100 people haven't really gone through formal education. They're not going to be able to change that. We're not going to be able to invest $100 billion in infrastructure in this country. The faculty that we have here is something that will not be at that multiplication level. So to give people the choice that I can go back and do some sense of my formal education is really what online. If you look at it at the schooling level, it's the same element. Some people want to optionally pursue a career in a different manner. Actually, some people move from school to school 5 times, 6 times. I've been fortunate I moved school only once, but there are many people who do that. So I think today, the approach to extracurricular activity, the approach to soft skills, that optionality is very, very powerful, which I think I'm excited about.
We'll talk about the skill sets in just a bit, but then do you see online learning, online schooling actually replacing the traditional form of schooling?
I don't think it needs to replace. I think we need to stop dead on our tracks where we are looking for something to replace. Because when you do that, it becomes an either or. And then there's a sense of not wanting to change. So I would say it's more about choice, it's more about optionality, sometimes it's more about accessibility, sometimes it's more about affordability. And I think if you look at those elements there, that's what the support system should be. I don't think anything should replace anything.
So then how do you see school students develop practical skills, along with in the space of online schooling? Like you said, it's an added-on benefit, or it's an option, it's a choice that you have. So then how do you inculcate, the practical learning of a student who's perhaps in grade 5th?
So I think what I've seen and what I've observed is that the pedagogy, the teaching approach, and the focus of 25 people in a class is actually quite magical. I guess the biggest challenge is how do we get them to also then be social about them? To be honest, technology is quite social. To be honest, most of the kids in this generation their best friends are going to be bots. So in a generation where your best friend is going to be a bot, you better bet clear that you want to have an optionality where you want to get them around that. So that's where we're going to in the first place, and we can't run away from that. In that context, I think this online schooling allows you to contract your working hours, doesn't put that pressure sometimes that schooling does. You don't need to spend 2 hours on transportation. Then there's the whole tuition part. And it allows you to actually have another life. It could be pursue sports, chess, anything else you want to necessarily do. And it's not just about optionality of extracurricular activities. It's just a longer list of that. I guess we need to still bridge the one part of how do they feel much more sociable in an environment which otherwise in a classroom, you learn a certain amount of peer-to-peer learning. Technology allows a lot of peer-to-peer learning. I think the power of peer-to-peer learning in the school and in the technology part is almost the same. So I think there's some work to be done in that part. But the quid pro quo of the focus and the ability to give them optionalities is, I think, standing out. But it's a personal choice for everyone. It's not about replacing.
You're talking about technology and bots. Of course, AI is the talk of the town and it's here to stay. So how do you feel that, AI is it, going to add tremendous kind of value to online schooling? How does learning get affected? How does learning get better? How does teaching get affected? So, AI over the last few years has, made headlines.
So there are 2 parts to this, right? I think one is the actual end product of what you need to learn and what AI is going to change your career part. And the second one, in education at least, is what is the input that will allow teachers, faculty, pedagogy, timetables, all of that, where almost 30 to 40% of what you are doing can actually be augmented. Now, the perception seems to be that AI sounds like a shortcut. It's a cheat sheet. So I think we need to move away from the fact that it's a doubt resolution context or it's a cheat sheet. And if you sort of harness that, I think the biggest challenge today is acceptability. Once you have that accessibility, you can go forward. But I just want to tell you, you have a problem with the accessibility, but your target group, which is the young students, they don't think there's an accessibility problem or an acceptability problem. They're growing up in that area, whether we like it or not.
So you've definitely interacted with a few students, who've been a part of the online schooling ecosystem. How do you find them different? Are they different, or how is it that they're reacting to, or maybe being amongst people who are actually going to physical schools? Is there a difference?
I think there's a difference today. I don't think it can be strongly differentiated. I'm not here to sit down and evangelize online schooling versus something else. I want to be extremely candid about the fact that you will find different people with different personalities that blossom. And I think the optionality allows people to blossom. And that's how I see them as different. It's not like, again, the more we try and segregate the either or, I think the more resentment or the more separation there will be. And I think it's very, very critical as we adopt this technology that we don't sort of do an either or, because otherwise there'll be the people for and be the for against. And that's not needed.
Just my last question, talking about the future ahead. How is online schooling going to prepare students for the industry, for the corporate world in terms of skill sets? What is the future for online schooling in that front?
Well, my yoga teacher has adopted that, and I have conversed with him in between my pranayas on a thought process to what got him there. And I think what I see around is, again, the ability for them to harness the world and have a little bit more time. I think in our working professional life, I've seen that. We're kind of calendarized. So I think even in the student world, there's too much of calendarization. And I think we're ability to shrink that calendarization and give people the ability to pursue something else, which is their dream, or their ability to participate in something is very, very strong. So I just don't see this as an either or, but I also don't see it as an if or a when. The when has already arrived. And therefore, I think we just need to accept it. We need to harness it, because if we don't, that's where we'll get pushed to.
I think you've summed it up beautifully, Mr. Ronnie Screwvala. Thank you so much for taking your time and interacting with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful session, remarkable thoughts, and a very fresh perspective. I request you all, can we have one loudest round of applause for the wonderful fireside chat? Thank you very much. And as I told you, I can read faces, and I can read that everybody is excited for the next fireside as well. So please do join me to welcome Dr. Rakshit Tandon, ladies and gentlemen, with some round of applause, some energy, some powerful energy to this wonderful gentleman. Ladies and gentlemen, he is highly, highly concerned about the cyber hygiene of children, particularly those aged from 10 to 18 years. Let me tell you, he has 2 decades of expertise in cyber security. Over the last 2 decades, he has made it mission and has reached out to over 70 lakhs youngsters across the country. We are so proud of you, by the way. What a wonderful thought and our beautiful and selfless purpose. A round of applause for this man, ladies and gentlemen. And for the chair, may I request once again, Mr. Daksh Sethi, please do join us. And you've been a great moderator. A round of applause for him as well, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Daksh, for the lovely questions. All over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you. All right. Welcome, sir.
Thank
you so much for taking our time. Just a candid bit of information. Almost 8 years back, I attended one of your sessions in IIT Delhi. Today here I am sharing the stage with you, so it's definitely an honor for me.
It's a pleasure, Mike.
Jumping straight to the elephant in the room. Cybersecurity, how do we ensure cybersecurity in the online learning, in the online schooling space?
First of all, thank you, Times of India and Good 21 Schools for having me. Cybersecurity is now no more a subject, no more a topic or a workshop or a seminar to be attended. I think it has to be brought in the blood and culture, right from beginning. Because when we go in online schooling and what we have seen in the past, the tools we use, first of all, they have to be reputable. They have to be checked for the security aspect of it. Because when you look at a school, you look at all the security aspects. You see that the floor is not slippery, the children have easy access, they have guards outside. Now, when you're leaving them in an online school, an online world, the tool which you are using has to be secured. It has to have a good framework. The environment has to be safe. And then we have to focus on the cyber hygiene part of it. When I say cyber hygiene, the devices are updated, the softwares are updated, they are patched with vulnerabilities, and the basic threats, like the difference between an original mail and a fake mail, the difference between a malware link, how the hackers are trying to attack you, that basic thing should be taught. Like I give you an example in online schooling, when the IDs were generated by the IT head, everybody got a password, welcome123. And none of them changed it. And one fine day, there was a situation that from one of the IDs of a teacher, a very defamatory content and post went on the classroom. And then the parents were watching it, the children were watching it, and it became a chaos. And then to identify, so why? Because the software was vulnerable, they could not provide us the logs. And the second was that the passwords were not changed. So that basic cyber hygiene has to be brought in.
In terms of the experience of a student or a teacher teaching or learning through online schooling, any specific example or any specific challenge that you think that students have, are facing or might face?
So online schooling can be very innovative with the type of tools you use. So it all depends upon the teacher, how they're engaging with the child. And then you also have to take care of the screen time of the child, to which affects the mental health. Like, especially when it comes to Bluetooth headsets and screen time, we always teach them to take a formula like 20-20-20. So when you're 20 minutes on the screen, you look at a 20 feet far object, you blink your eye 20 times, your volume should be at a reasonable decibel. All these things have to be taken care. And the challenge we face is, at times, children get distracted. So the tools you use, they should not allow you to bypass. So in online schooling or in online platform, normally what children do, they skip and they go to any social media site, they start playing a game, they start chatting with their friends. So the platform you create has to be vibrant. You can gamify your exercises. And the teacher can have one-to-one engagements in some live session instead of only giving them recorded content or digital content.
So this is perhaps from the teaching side and from the learning side. What about examinations, assessments, assignments? So how can online schools ensure that there is fairness?
I've been associated to some lot of investigations which were related to online examination, leaks and scams. So I think here AI will play a very important role. AI proctoring can be done to analyze and assess the behavior of the child, right? And instead of just doing assessments online, there can be online vivas, there can be one-to-one video conversation to see. There are tools available. If I start reading the tools, it will take a lot of time, but there are wonderful tools available which can do AI proctoring, which can also check the plagiarism of the content which is provided as an assignment. And I think we can have open book examination kind of a policy rather than the route memorization stuff and all that. So this can also be helpful in doing a right and a good assessment online.
Just to follow up on that, this is from the assessment perspective, but what about subjects which require hands-on experience? They require practical learning. So how can teachers with online schools, help ensure that?
So I think their virtual reality and augmented reality will play a wonderful role, but then I know technology needs good investments. But we can have simulated labs. There are tools available where we can create simulated lab, and then in-home experiments can be done with a kind of a video proctoring. and the teacher or the person who is taking care can do the assessment. And it can be more engaging also, because that gives good experience to the child also when he does hands-on.
So my last question again was a follow-up on AI. AI is here to stay.
Yep.
And how can online schools sort of integrate, AI, not just from the security perspective, but also from the teaching perspective?
So whatever said and done, I've been talking to millions of kids, and I have seen the impact of digital diet on my children. I think I don't want their cognitive thinking to go away. I can use AI as a very good slave rather than making him a master. That is one thing. And second, integrating into education for analysis of my child. Because see, when I used to sit in my class and a maths teacher used to teach, there were around 60 kids in our school at that time. And there were so many kids who were blank. And it was very difficult for my teacher to go and understand each and every child need. But today, for example, a very difficult topic I'll give you. I was just working on a case in the morning, and it was a new challenging case about a malware. And to break it into simple language, AI helped me out. I got it. So I think that is where AI in education will play a role. So suppose my teacher is teaching me a formula or something or a theorem, which in normal textbook which is written, I'm not able to understand. The same given to AI, it can be simplified as per his mental capabilities and adaptation. So I think that is where AI can play a very important role in education.
My last question, how do you think online schooling can participate in customization and personalization of learning?
So, as I mentioned that, and as Ronnie also said very well, that there are so many options available. And wherever there are options, see today, if I am in an offline school mode, I have the textbook to follow, and I have that assignments to follow, and they are not changing. But when it goes to online schooling, there is so much of optionability and adaptability, and yes, obviously, you can customize it to your child need as well. So that is where I think open schooling can play a good role, and yes, it will give in a good approach. But also, I would love that the children should, right from day one, be taught digital diet, cyber hygiene, and digital citizenship. That because in real and virtual world, there's this one thing which is anonymity is a myth. And we have to tell them that they don't think that you can just go behind a VPN and you can do anything.
I'm sure the audience has taken down a lot of notes from this. Mr. Tandon, thank you so much for taking our time.
Thank you so much for
having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you
Ladies
so
and gentlemen, please, a huge round of applause.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for such a wonderful session. So now it's time to move towards our first panel discussion, where we're going to talk about online and offline education, the Indian context. So we will explore the fundamental aspects of digital education. And in order to do that, we have esteemed panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Please help me to welcome them on stage. Please help me to welcome Mr. Arun Rajamani, everybody. He's a Managing Director at Cambridge University Press and Assessment, South Asia. He has been responsible for building the Cambridge University Press and Assessment as a brand for over a year. Its journey to become non-for-profit organization that provides world-leading academic research, learning, and assessment globally, backed by the first-class teaching and research departments of the University of Cambridge. Sir, we welcome you. Please take your seat. Thank you for being here with us. Please to join us to welcome Dr. Joseph Emmanuel, everybody, is currently the Chief Executive and Secretary of CISCE. Please do join me to welcome him, everybody. I'm unable to hear some round of applauses. Dr. Joseph has about 30 years of experience in the education sector and held various positions in CBSE, such as Director, Academics, Secretary, Regional Director, etc. He has been overseeing the unfurling of NEP 2020 through various academic initiatives. So we welcome you and thank you very much for being here with us. Join us to welcome Mr. Anirudh Kumar, Additional Director, Education and Research Network, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. He is in charge of ICT project, teleeducation, and smart virtual classroom projects. We are glad to have you here, sir. Please help me to welcome this gentleman on stage, ladies and gentlemen. Please help me to welcome our chair, Dr. Senthil Kumaran, everybody. Can we have a round of applause for him? Chief Confluencer and co-founder, the Learners Conference, Chief Mentor and Director, Excel One, with over 3 decades of experience in the educational field. Please help us to welcome him here, everybody. Gentlemen, all over to you. Here we're going to talk about online and offline education.
Very good evening, and congratulations to Times of India to initiate such a wonderful initiative in a very, very new space, which is online schooling. We heard speakers, so I'm not going to repeat some of those things, but I think it's very important that we are not talking about online versus offline. We are saying how exactly can we align together to make a difference to that particular child who is aspirational in getting education at the time what he or she wants to. I have a wonderful team because whenever we keep talking about this particular area, you heard NIOS chairman here, and you have government representative who is going to take care of the technology aspects. Then I have somebody from the national board, that is from CISC. I have somebody from international experiences who have been affiliating schools in India and other parts of the world. One question to all three of you, and I'll start from Dr. Anirudh. People talk about online schools only as a substitute during COVID time. But it was not so. People were trying to look at multiple models to actually look at it. And with NEP now talking about universalization of education from age 3 to 18, that everybody should be back. And very beautifully in the NEP document also, it talks very interestingly, innovative ways of providing education. We would like to start from you, saying that please share your own views and what are some of the government initiatives to make sure that the education is reaching the unreached.
Thank you, sir. And already I think Professor has told a lot of things about that, how online education is important. This is basically, it is buzzes because of that COVID. However, Ministry of IT already started way back before that COVID. We have, I'm sharing the experience first, then I will tell you what is the advantage of or what is the way forward for the technology. We have already converted more than 3,500 schools, classes, basically classrooms, to the digital education classrooms, especially for the rural or remote areas like Northeast. We converted for Tripura. We are running for the Assam, for Meghalaya. And let me tell you one thing. We got the feedbacks from that online classroom that we are running for the Northeast, that they want some coaching or some kind of additional study material for that JE. So we discussed with our higher management and we arranged one tutor. And it's a very pride and I'm very pleased that 6 of them has cleared JE Mains.
Congratulations.
So this is what I want to tell. This digital education or online education is not limited to the online classes. It is a continuous education. Continuous means you can learn whenever you want. पहले एक phrase होता था कि प्यासा कुएं के पास आता है. अब तो कुआं भी आपके पास है. Whenever you want, you can learn. You can learn by your pace. And that everything can be possible. And one of the most advantage that there is no boundaries. You can read the content of the global also.
Correct.
We have that NIOS content. We have K21 content also. So you can choose, you can have the quality content. Basically, you need quality content. You need accessibility and affordability. Most important thing for Indian context is affordability also.
Sure.
So as a government also, sir knows, I think we run a lot of portal by Ministry of Education. We, as a Ministry of IT, we run NKN. We have run in 2012. From there, we are running NKN, National Knowledge Network. We are connected all the higher educations, universities, through that network. They can communicate each other, they can do the internet, they can do the research. We as a ARNet India, we provide the AC.in, edu.in.
Sure.
So we provide the digital identity to the schools.
Institutions too.
So that's one of the things. And also, it is very important that equitable access, gender neutral content should be there. And it is possible only through the digital education. So I can say that anything possible through technology only. So we are bridging the gap between the rural, urban, and we as a, now we are running the Digital India campaign. I'm I think taking too much time. So we give the digital Sacharta Abhiyan, we are running PM Digital Sacharta Abhiyan with the Grameen. So we are them accessing one to, so that how they can use the digital things, digital mobile, laptop, desktop. We are giving more than 6 crore people we have already educated how to use the digital. So we have running lot of things. We converting that tribal school into the smart. So lot of initiatives government is taking. Government is very serious that up to 2020, we want to give NEP 2020 vision is also there.
Correct.
Up to 2030, you have already mentioned that the quality education up to
Access and quality is
accessible
something
quality.
very, very,
So
yeah.
this can only be achieved through the digital education. It is not replacement of the offline.
Correct.
It is only supplement or complement that the that offline schools.
Sure.
So we can suppose we have as a Ministry of IT, we are also running the National Medical College Network. I'm just tell you. So 49 colleges plus AIMS Delhi. So one of the problem is online digital content. The teacher faculties are already mentioned that the continuous training to the faculty is there. So if government want to open the new medical college, suppose in UP or in any state, so that the faculty should not be available, that the expert faculty is not available. So we run that medical college. AIMS Delhi gastrology professor can attend, can give the lecture. Other 49 colleges can interact, can see, can answer, so that the faculty problems can also be resolved through this only.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Anirudh. And I think while you are talking about medical college and higher education institution, my request to you is that also try to see that who are the online players and how do we try to get them together on a platform is something which your department must take it up. I'll come back to that a little later. Dr. Joseph, as council also has been taking up a lot of initiative in particularly post-COVID, pre-COVID and during COVID time. What are some of the initiatives that, or what are your views particularly on online school and offline school?
Thank you, Dr. Senthil. You know, my previous speakers, particularly Dr. Pankaj Arora and Mr. Skuwala and Anirudhji, all of them have voiced for blended schooling. It's supplementing the knowledge transfer, augmenting the knowledge transfer, and making education affordable and accessible. Today, India is looking for affordable model, a model that can be accessed by masses. From independence till today, there's a lot of transformation has happened. At the time of independence, only 18% of the population was literate, not even educated. And today, more than 80%. So we are the largest population in the world. We could achieve that target. We are a fast-growing economy. And in the changing circumstances, how to make education accessible, affordable, and how to give equity and excellence to education. The 5 pillars of NEP, equity, excellence, affordability, accessibility, and accountability. All these aims of NEP, objectives of NEP can achieved by utilizing digital technology effectively. Without
to the scale what we are talking about as a country.
That's right. That's the only possibility. All of a sudden after COVID, everyone in the education sector become techno-savvy. The fear of using technology has gone without any formal training. And now, empowerment of teachers to use the digital technology effectively, that is the challenge. Smart boards are there in our schools, but how many teachers of our schools are effectively using the potential of the smart boards? Even in the online teaching learning, that sanitizing of the content and discipline of the digital world. All those lessons we need to transfer to the children. So as a council, the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examination, we are a national board with international presence. We have presence all across India in all the 35 states and union territories. And schools from diverse backgrounds are there. And in the CISC, also with my experience in CBSE, everyone is looking for transformation and progress. And to that objective and aim and the aspiration, we have to provide a lot of digital support to our schools and students to reach excellence, to achieve excellence. Correct. So there is a lot of scope, a lot of potential, and it's again an option to the learner, personalized learning, learning according to the need and skill set and aptitude of the learner. All these very ambitious plans can be achieved only by using technology effectively. CISC is using technology in a very large way, particularly for transforming the curriculum transactions and also for improving the quality of the assessment, student support service, providing learning materials to the students, to develop school council connect. And in all these areas, technology is being used on a large way, and we are again working towards augmenting this potential. For example, the 358 assessment, school quality assessment, teachers' capacity building, and providing enrichment opportunities to the students. Large number of students can participate in online programs, online competitions. In all these areas, there is a lot of potential, and as educators, we should come forward and utilize this potential for the betterment of the nation and transforming India as a developed nation.
Yes, Arun, I think you will surely have experiences within India and outside India. You are one of those boards which have said that, okay, we are there to help students to go through this education or educational experience. What are some of your views, because you have seen what happens outside India and within India, particularly post-COVID?
Thank you, Dr. Senthil, and thank you to the Times of India Group and for 21K schools for vacancy here. Just echoing some of the points that were just said right now. Online schools is not a new phenomenon. It was there for a very long time. However, I would tend to think that COVID did play a very big factor or a very major role in terms of bringing more awareness, correct, enrollments and adoption. I think COVID did shift the behavior of students, the acceptance within parents to start thinking about online schools as a real option. What we saw during COVID was a very high enrollment rate that went in from all schools that shifted to digital forms of teaching and learning because of obvious issues that schools weren't open. But the pure play online schools that were enrolling students, we would have expected to see a drop in enrollment post-COVID and once the situation normalized. Working in over 140 countries today, we have close to about 130 schools that offer online schooling today. Surprising factor was post-COVID, we did not see any drop in enrollments.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, yeah.
Which actually means that the value of online education, not just in terms of the convenience alone, but in terms of the effectiveness, driving student outcomes, looking at learning effectiveness, all of that was sort of proven even after COVID. So I think that's a testament to say that this is a model that can, as Ronnie said, provide the optionality, the freedom, the choice, as well as the effectiveness of how this can be delivered to students who have different needs. And I think this is what COVID probably taught us as an experience.
Sure. Dr. Anirudh, I'll come back again to you. One of the challenges which we keep talking when it is an iOS or any other online school format, most of the parents keep coming back and saying that I don't have a DICE number, I don't have any other specific number to say that I am a student in India. Maybe APAR will be able to kind of get all of us together in one particular platform. But is there some kind of a thought trying to say that how are we going to connect all these DICE? There are multiple things which schools are going through right now, and it's a good transition for a long-term game, personally what I feel. But I think, what are some of the initiatives that, how are you going to make sure that the students who are also going through the online schools are also, taken on board in this particular journey?
I think It's a very good question. Already, I think Ministry of Education has already started that APAR ID. I think once it is implemented in the true spirit, it will be a game changer.
Correct.
For the policymakers, for the students, for the schools, because if I've enrolled something and after 12th I shifted to BTech in some stream, many other people are choosing some stream. So as a government or as a policymaker, you come to know where people want to do, what people want to do. So this is one of the example I'm saying. And secondly, on the one click, you're able to know what is my history, where I am. Competencies, everything is there. So that credit scores is also there.
Correct.
And when it will integrate, but a lot of challenges are there. States there, center, CBSE, NIOS. So it's a challenge, but I think it will be a game changer once it is connected. It need to be connected to all stakeholders, should be connected. API integration, I think already from DigiLocker, it is already connected. So
Correct.
it is the platform that through Aadhaar or DigiLocker, all should be connected through API. It is very easy. All state or stakeholders need to be connected.
Yeah, this is on the technology front, but there are a lot of legal, challenges which we go through because parents keep coming and saying that, okay, I appear as a private student with NIOS or, with Cambridge, at least they get a clarity. But how do the online schools should be looking at it? And what is the, any initiative specific in this particular direction where these people also can be mainstreamed?
I think it's time to onboard these digital or online schools into that same APAR ID. I think very soon, recently I think it is started with the offline schools.
Yes.
Very soon, I'm not surprised, the government has already started and there is a vision also.
Sure.
That we have already unified DigiLocker is there. Ministry of IT is the nodal agency for this digital locker. I think very easy to integrate these things. So technology by legally also, I think already CBSE mark sheets and all, it's coming to the DigiLocker only.
Correct.
So I think for a framework, it is, I think nothing but is a only decision is required. Once because already everything is connected to the DigiLocker.
Sure.
So it's just adding to that DigiLocker, it is apparently just addition to that one tab in that DigiLocker. So once only decision is required, I think there is no legal challenges there. Only some kind of registration, some processes are there. Once it will be announced, I think whatever I thought that there is no.
So there's a lot of good news awaited.
Very soon you will hear that APAR ID for online education also. And
sure. That's one. And secondly, also, I think it's not only higher education which is going to look at it. When you're going to have a competency-based, assessments, and you have the competencies which is getting mapped over, the learning world and world of work will also start aligning, which is very, very important. And I think, thank you, I think, to initiate some of these things so that let the corporates also start taking data rather than going through a process again. And life becomes much.
I forgot one thing, that we have running a future prime skill. Okay. One of the project we have already, Ministry of IT is running. So we give skill development through online, offline, some institutes there. Sure. So they are connected to DigiLocker. There is a credit score. Sure. So anybody want to have that some recruitment process is there, so they can, from DigiLocker, they can do what is the credit score, what is the proficiency, everything is there. Sure. So we have already, some kind of already is there. We have already registered some online courses in that future prime skill. I think very soon, you will hear that it's a priority for online education.
Sure. Thank you very much for initiating. Now, coming to Dr. Emmanuel, with so many changes happening in AI era, how is the board is also preparing? Because I just heard you making a comment specifically on 358 assessments. And how are you going to try to look at that AI era? How is the council getting prepared for it? Just to understand your perspective on that.
Like any other board in the country, CISE is also aiming to tap the potential of AI and digital era. The 358 examination is very ambitious. Rather, it's not an examination, it's an assessment to know the learning pathways of children. And the aim is to provide feedback to the system as well as to the learner and the parents. What are the right intervention at the right time to be taken to achieve the full potential of the child? The ASER report and the NAS reports are eye-openers. Whereas that may not be very relevant for the case of private schools. But there are a lot of challenges about achievement of learning outcomes and attainment of skills and competencies required for a successful life in the modern society. So this key stage assessment is proposed in the National Education Policy to measure the achievement of learning outcome and others competencies at various stages of school education. So CBSE has implemented, and it is named as SAFL. Similarly, CISE has implemented it as SHINE, Students' Holistic Improvement and Nurturing Evaluation. And this assessment is aiming to understand the learning style of the learner, to provide feedback to the learners and the school system. Right intervention at the right time is the objective, as I said. It can also help you to identify the potential of the learner. Every child is unique.
Correct.
Every child needs special attention. So to understand those kind of attitude, aptitude, and potential of the learner, this kind of diagnostic assessment will be very helpful. This assessment will also help the institutions and the school boards as a whole to identify the training needs of teachers.
CPD can be developed quite professionally.
That's right. So the data and the insights given by these kind of assessments will help the institutions and school boards and the country as a whole to design the training programs for the teachers, capacity building. Again, the resource materials can be designed according to the learning needs of the children. Sky is the limit.
Correct.
So CISE is going to use this potential maximum, and we are going to conduct our pilot test in the year 2025, and it will be scaled up on a massive way, covering all the schools across the country and abroad.
Thank you. Arulji, I think one of the very important things is that you might have experienced multiple used cases in terms of data, technology, how people have used it, leveraged it. Can you just throw on 2 used cases for all of us to understand how within India one of your schools is doing it, one outside the country?
I think, as you said, there are several use cases that have developed, and I'll keep it in the context of online schooling.
Correct.
In the
That's
interest of what we do
yeah.
here. As Dr. Joseph said, right, the moment we started to see more adoption of online schooling through enrollments that we saw, I think the key area to focus on was how do we really make sure that students are progressing, and we are able to keep track of that. So a lot of our schools have been adopting formative assessments, using more continuous assessment models, as well as what we call as checkpoint examinations, which are the equivalent of grade 3, 5, 8 that we see. We've seen some interesting dynamics in the use cases. One, formative assessments being used purely digitally. But when we came down to the key stage assessments, which needed a little bit more of monitoring, there was an experience that we saw that students were coming into a center to take an exam. And then we started using digital tools to analyze that information, to provide more insights on the foundational skills, as well as areas of development that could provide for more personalized and targeted interventions. So I would say 2 use cases that emerged there were, one, continuous formative assessments using digital tools, which was very effective for students who had no access to a school infrastructure. And then for those students who desired to look at getting their key stage assessments done, we use technology after the examination to provide for more targeted interventions. Now, this is what I guess has been driving the effectiveness of online schooling, that it provides for much more targeted, personalized, and focused interventions that students need.
Which is supported sufficiently with data.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's sufficiently backed by data, insights, and very objective. And this is where I think the advantages of the online schooling system could be seen through a conventional schooling model, which largely cannot cater to that level of personalization.
Sure, thank you. One last question to all 3 of you. Globalizing Bharatiya school education system. Okay, I'm making it very, because it's very, very important that whenever we talk to anybody outside country, one thing they say, your schooling system, while we may be very, critique about ourselves, but across the world, the kind of work, what is happening in the kind of scale, what we are doing it in India. Bharatiya Shiksha, Indian school education system को यदि globalize करना हो, through technology. That's the only way probably which I think. What are one key points? This is just offline question which I have kind of taken it up. What is that one thing that you would like to do, you would like to do, you would like to do? You can start with, but anybody can start for that matter.
Given a choice, I'll go for blended learning.
Okay.
Online and offline together.
Okay.
It has the power to connect children across the globe. And there is a lot of demand for Indian education.
Correct.
The rigor, relevance, and reach of the Indian school education sector is admired all across the world, and there is a lot of demand. To unleash that potential, a blended model can be designed, which will connect children from all across the globe, particularly the global Indians, and they can be brought through some real schools, and partially real school and partially online education.
So भारतीय शिक्षा को यदि बाहर ले जाना है तो we need hybrid schools, hybrid school model और
Bharatiya Shiksha is already out of the geographical boundaries of India. Now the question is to scale it up.
Correct.
For example, CISC has a few schools which are run by the foreign governments. Thailand, the government-run schools are also affiliated to CISC.
That's interesting.
And that school has more than 3,000 students.
Very good.
And such examples are there. And in India, in some of the CISC schools enrollment, more than 50% of the students are from foreign countries.
Very nice. Okay.
Particularly schools from the hill areas. So enrollments are coming from all across the world, particularly from the Southeast Asian countries. Such examples are there. So Indian education has already reached out of the geographical boundaries. But now the question is to scale it up.
Sure.
And India
yeah,
to become a Vishwaguru.
India should become Vishwaguru. And I think,
so this is one of the way to reach out to the masses.
Yeah, I think he may not be very comfortable, but just trying to say, when Cambridge is coming to India, and I think we are trying to go abroad, we should be partners wherever we go and share the learning. So what's your take?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the philosophies that Cambridge believes in very strongly is the ability to localize education in whichever country it's present in. So we do not advocate that there's only one model to be followed, and we leave the freedom and the choice to the school, whether it's online or offline, to actually realize what they want to implement using a framework that we provide, which is a curriculum framework. And we often see schools interpreting the curriculum in their own ways, in very, very many ways, very effective, and they bring that localization element, which is what I think makes us more blended with what every country and our culture would need. Now, borrowing on the idea of what Dr. Joseph said, I think hybrid schooling is one of the key ways forward, but we often tend to bucket hybrid schooling into a very distinct category of online and offline.
Correct.
But I think hybrid goes way beyond that. And where we think about hybrid is that if you look at Bharatiya Shiksha and the opportunity that Indians have today and the young students of Indians have today, it's not about just being exposed to a community within India. It's being exposed to a community which is global, because that's the stage at which the future learners are going to play.
Sure.
And therefore, I think the ability for us to use technology to expose them to those worlds and those cultures and those communities becomes an essential part of it. Second, I think going beyond the confines of one school, one student, whether it's online or offline, I think we'll have to start linking schools together through communities, and that's where students start to see the benefit. Exchange of teacher capacity.
Yes.
Exchange of ideas which could be entrepreneurial in nature. I think these are the areas where students will thrive and prosper as we start to think about Bharatiya Shiksha. So hybrid in many ways that we can think about linking schools together, linking communities together, linking learners together, and making sure that there is an exposure that students get way beyond what the traditional system offers, I think is what will make the future student successful.
Sure, because looking at both of you, whatever you have said, there is the concept of meme. I'm not talking about the other meme. Multiple entry, multiple exit. The concept can be actually brought in quite well, that the child actually can go back, I'm in grade 3. I try to, my teacher identifies a potential in me that I'm good in tennis. I should go for a very focused training from grade 3 onwards. And I continue till grade 6. And then I want to go back to a regular school. But again, there is a challenge of, legal frameworks and how I can go back again to a regular school per se as such. And that's where Aniruddhi, आपका सबसे बड़ा काम है इन सारी चीज़ों को अलाइन करके एक फ्रेमवर्क में लाके जल्दी से डिसीजन लाने का. आपकी क्या ख्याल हैं particularly इस particular area में?
Dr. Joseph ne actually said that the blended is the future. I think for Indian education system for the globalization. Our जो हमारा hidden talent है, nowadays you can see the yoga is performing every day, everywhere in the world.
Correct.
So it is one of the key that our strength is there. So we should promote our local content to the global. We should present what is in it. So अगर हम अपना जो local जैसे योगा है, आयुर्वेदा है, इसको global level ले जाएंगे, so हमारा भी जो अपना एक system है, हमारी culture के through जो system है, वो हमें global पे ले जाना है. So हमारे Indians को अगर विश्व या हमारा एक world level पे भी Indian knowledge system we should promote our local strength also to the world level through this hybrid model, through digital. We should exchange our students to the foreigners and global universities, colleges. From there, we should exchange to Indian also. So once they exposure our culture, our strength, I think that is बहुत दूर नहीं है, हम भी काफ़ी आगे जाएंगे. I hope जिस तरह का चल रहा है, very soon we will be the Vishguru also.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Anirudh ji. I think just to sum up, I would like to just take 3 simple alphabets, A, B, C. Right awareness is required for the parent, for the community, for the board, for the stakeholders across. If you have the right awareness which is being kind of communicated, that will help to break the barriers what we have between online versus offline. So there's no online versus, it's online plus offline. Where, how exactly? But all the formats, only one focus, har bacha can be able to unleash his or her potential. So right awareness is something which is very, very important. Second, building competencies among the boards, among the parents, among the teachers. And I think I saw when I saw the presentation of Chairman, I think it came out very, very exclusive because I was not aware, sir, that there is a certification or there's a training which is being given for to teach online. I think that's a wonderful, I'm going to become ambassador for that to take it across for you because it's very, very important. And like how I have been telling people that like how we have a fire drill in our school every year, can't we celebrate one week as COVID week or some kind of a week where we recreate the whole environment and then teachers at no particular time finds a gap that there is a situation like this. And with so much of, climate changes and so many other challenges which we are facing across the country, so a lot of capacity building needs to happen. And I think that's where I would request both the boards also to be a little more flexible when we are trying to talk about that. I think that's very important. And third is C. And what I see is very important is change. Let's not hurry up too much in trying to say that, okay, kal savere se we will start working on it. No. And I thank you to Times of India for creating this particular conversation. This is the first edition. Maybe when we are celebrating the 3rd edition or 5th edition, we will be able to kind of say that, okay, right, we have the change which is scientific and systematic. So thank you, Dr. Anirudh, Dr. Emmanuel, and Dr. Arun for basically taking time off to share your thoughts. And thank you, audience, for patiently listening. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for such an insightful session. So many learnings and takeaways, I must say. We can add a little more of clapping layers to this wonderful session. Thank you very much. So now it's time to move towards another insightful session. The topic is decoding online schooling. In order to do that, we have a very right man in the hall. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome on stage Mr. Yashwant Raj Parasmal, everybody. Can we help? A round of applause, founder and CEO of 21K School, as he's going to share his thoughts and views. So first of all, I would say a big congratulations because the vision and the purpose is so clear that it's going to be a super duper hit. A round of applause, everybody, for one and only Mr. Yashwant Raj. Sir, all over to you.
Thank you, Times of India, for hosting this important summit on online school. I think it's the need of the hour. These conversations are important, though it could be uncomfortable today. The very thought of speaking about online schooling and education could be very unnerving and uncomforting for a lot of parents in India today. So while we have heard the conversations around, from the policy perspective, from the board perspective,
I would like to bring in my perspective about how and why we started with building 21K school and online school, and what is it for the parents and the learners. So maybe just add a dimension from the end user perspective, the end consumer of education, whom personally I believe that there's less student agency in the education system. So I'd like to just begin with my thoughts on rethinking education for the world that we are looking at it. Next slide, please. So I've been part of the education journey for the last 25 years. And I've also gone through the physical schooling, like I'm sure most of you, in fact, all of you would have gone through that. I mean, and there is one question. So I was not being a great, school student. I mean, up to grade 9, I was ranked 36 out of a class of 42 students. So I've not had a very good school education. I've been an introvert completely. I don't think I have any friends from the school today. So it's been a completely different experience. So that's why when the parents ask me that, what about socialization in online school, I always think that, why didn't I socialize in the physical school? So it doesn't just relate with me to the perspective. But something changed. And grade 9, my parents said, you're going to come up for the board exams at grade 10. I was through the ICC board, and they had put me through private tuitions. Mr. David, who was the vice principal at the school that I studied. And in the summer of between grade 9 to grade 10, I think I realized the power of education. Because I saw a change in complete perspective about how I should be looking at schooling. And what I realized is that personalization, that flexibility that I got to study the subjects during that summer, out of the interest, changed me. And then out of 180 students, I came 6th at the school. I studied at Baldwin Boys High School, and that completely changed my perspective about schooling as a whole. I realized that schooling is not just about trying to fit into the culture of what the perspectives have to offer. I mean, I realized that following rules, following a rigid curriculum may be a disabler for a lot of students and learners, while learning is more about thing. I'll give you a small anecdote when, one of my professors from the college, I did my MBA in education management from University of Southampton. And, one day he told me that, come home. I'm going to show you that I've been able to teach my dog how to speak in English. I was like, has he gone nuts? What is he talking about? But professor hota hai. So I said, okay, let me come over a cup of coffee, and I went. I was more than coffee. I was interested to know, where is the dog who can speak in English, right? And when I saw, and then I was like, anxiously waiting. And the dog came in, and professor started asking, speak in English, answer. Then obviously the dog can't speak. So, he did some whimpers, boos, and then he went off. And I started laughing. Professor, why did you think? And professor told me something that changed my perception entirely. He says, I taught him how to speak in English. He did not learn. And he said, this is what happens in education, Yashwant. And since you're building your career in the education sector, it's important for you to realize the fact that teaching is not the same as learning. And I think that gave me such a big insight into the entire thing that I came back from UK and I said that I am going to help entrepreneurs, investors, setting up schools, colleges, to set up physical schools and give them the right orientation. This was way back in 2008. For about good 12 years, I was involved in setting up school, colleges, universities, but largely schools. I've set up over 75 physical schools across India and focus mainly on the remote areas and location. On an average, I saw there were about 1,000 schools getting affiliated with CBSE. And if you just look at about 5 crore as an average nominal investment per school, we're talking about 5,000 crores of investment being pumped into setting up physical schools. But what was the outcome for the society? That was important. Most of the promoters that I met, they wanted to put up Italian marble and floors in the school, but they would pay peanuts to the teachers. So, I mean, my entire focus became in terms of giving the right perspective to the entrepreneurs. You know, I mean, the importance of pedagogy, teacher training, that all we spoke about it. And it took 12 years by the time I could just scale to about 75 schools and preschools and colleges and universities. And it was definitely not enough in terms of what we could do. And I had set up a CBSE school in a place called Kavardha in Chhattisgarh. It's a small district headquarter with about 50, 60,000 population then. That was a school that we had offered consultancy, and we'd set up the school. And I happened to be there on the visit, and there was a teacher who had gone on leave. And so there was no one to take care. I said, you know, let me go and engage with the kids. So I entered into the grade 6. And one child there, Abhinav, he asked me a very important question. He said, sir, what is the crime? What is the mistake that I did that I was born in Kavardha? Why can't I get the education that my cousins get in Pune? He was not able to speak very fluent English, and obviously when probably he had gone to Pune, he saw the difference in his upbringing, his education, his exposure compared to the kid in Pune. And of course, you know, at that point of time, I didn't have a very clear answer. I told him some things and then we went, but it stayed. I mean, it still stays in my mind that, you know, and this was in about 2016. And around the same time, we started looking at online schooling as an option, because that was particularly a scalable model that we saw in USA, Europe. In 2018-19, much before COVID struck us, we had planned out the entire pedagogy approach, much more. I mean, me with my company at Strategem and my wife, Nupur, we started building and looking at the online school options and the model, the technology. And we did that market research, you know, just typical perspective. And then we realized that nobody is going to study in the online school in India. So we kind of, you know, shelved that. This was Jan 2020. We almost decided to give up on the idea of online school, and then COVID happened. You know, of course, we all, you know, I mean, we don't want to recall the memories of COVID, but a trigger happened almost overnight. Hats off to the Indian teachers and the educators. Almost overnight, we adopted to online schooling. It's been a transformation like no other. 90 lakh teachers adopting to online schooling, and just like Professor Pankaj was saying, that COVID was a blessing because our teachers, our technology did not let a 0 year for the school students. Whatever, I mean, the experience may not be good, the teachers did not have, but I'm sure all of you recall the photos that were published in Times of India and other newspapers, that how with the mobile also the teachers were thinking. I mean, hats off to that grit, determination, and all across. You talk to any edtech company, they would say the Indian teachers are the least tech savvy, but we proved all of them wrong. But it also opened up a huge opportunity for learners to look at the option of online schooling. And then we said, no more market survey, let's launch online school. And in June 2020, of course, we started with 21K school, which was not just an idea ahead of its time, but an idea that was required, was essential. Again, I totally subscribe to the views of the panel members and the keynote speakers that we are not really talking about online and offline. The question is just about why can't the parents and learners have a choice? Because it's very difficult to scale physical schools across the length and breadth of the country. It's not possible to collect data around the learners. It's not possible to have every teacher and every child be given with a digital device. It's not possible to build schools in every nook and corner of the country. Way back, I think in January 2021, there was a front page article published in Times of India itself, which says that Chennai needs 2,000 schools to put every student in the classroom. And guess what? What was the limitation? Why can't the government set up 2,000 schools? It has huge budget. There was no land available. Even if you plan for 1 acre school campus, you need 2,000 acres in Chennai alone. That's absolutely not possible to scale. And also the time that's required to scale. Okay, let's say that we have the land, we have the facility, we do everything. But it takes time to construct building, to attract teachers, to get the approvals. So there's a huge lead time in terms of what the physical schools can't do. I think they're doing a phenomenal job, there's no question on that. But let's not forget, my perspective of Indian school education is not from the perspective of looking at what CBSE, ICC, Cambridge or IB schools are doing. I mean, I don't know how many of you are aware that India has 15 lakh schools, right? I'm sure that fact is mostly known. But are you aware that there are only 35,000 CBSE schools, 3,500 ICC schools, and about 1,000 to 1,500 internationally board affiliated schools? Total together, we're talking about 40,000 schools, which always consumes the front page news or the page 3 news or whatever news that you take. We're just talking about these 40,000 schools, which is less than 1% of Indian education system. But what about the remaining 99% of the schools who do not have even good teachers? And out of this 15 lakh schools, there are only 2 to 3 lakh schools which have affiliation till grade 12. More than 50% of these 15 lakh schools are only up to the primary level. Now just imagine if you look at bringing an online school to a government school which is only till primary. Overnight you can convert all these primary schools into an secondary school by just bringing in the technology into it. But we have been rigid with our own policy and systems. We're not talking about the student who's been disadvantaged. I mean, there's a huge power that we can bring. So I truly believe that online school is a thing. Let me spend some time to speak about what we are doing at 21K School. It's a model that we have got it right. And I dare say that our online school model is very different from any other online school that you will see in the world. We did not simply do and copycat that, that how online schools operate in USA or Europe. I mean, that was not the model. We looked at what is the Indianization that's possible. I mean, what is required in the Indian, context. So we are the only school probably which has 100% live engaging classes, for instance. We are probably the only online school which delivers learning kit that contains the textbooks and certain other materials to every child across the world. That's a huge thing that we have changed. The new education model is not going to be about personalization or flexibility. It's just simply about bringing more context to the child, to saying that education is not just, by just saying that it's a right, it's okay, but quality education can't be a privilege. I mean, why did we also affiliate with Cambridge is because there is an aspiring Indian middle class who's probably, studying in a CBSE and ICC schools, but why can't they get the international level of education, the pedagogy that they expect? Because in the physical space, the international education is out of bounds for most of us, like, the middle class families. So we have seen a huge shift in terms of parents because, and I think, the gap between the Indian and international education is just the focus on skills, emphasis on knowledge, emphasis on personality development and giving that global perspective. And that has been a game changer for most Indian families. I've had parents, and in fact, the book that we launched on the Pathfinders is just the volume 1. I mean, it's just about 101 stories. I think, Ms. Aruna and my academic leadership team, they said that, I can give you 500 such stories, Yashwant. I said, no, I can't build a huge volume of the book, so we had to choose only 101 students out of that. And phenomenal. I mean, please do have a look, and these are inspiring case studies. There is a grade 7, 8 students who hold patents. There are students who are already running the business. There are students who are incubating a startup at IIT Jodhpur. It's just absolutely phenomenal to see that how learners can achieve, provided you give them the space, the de-stressed environment, the flexibility and the passion to pursue what they think. I think that's the key that we want to bring. And we want to make sure that education comes across as a right, not just as a privilege. The future of learning is definitely now, and it's about personalization, flexibility and things, right? In just 5 years' time, we have scaled to about close to 7,500 learners across 78 countries, representing over 58 nationalities. And out of the entire team of 400 plus teaching faculty and the non-academic staff together, I would say about 400 of facilitators are working at home. It's a completely remote organization with just 20 of us working out of our corporate office in Bangalore. I mean, just to manage a school and to look at the effective environment that we can provide in a digital classroom is absolutely unimaginable. I mean, had I set up a physical school, let's say because of the passion, and I don't think I could have scaled to this many students, and I couldn't, and our facilitators could not have impacted learners' journey across these many cities and contexts. I mean, it's particularly joy. I mean, we have 13 language choices as second and third language for learners. We have morning and afternoon batch, which gives them the flexibility of time with different time zones, different needs. We have over 75 subject choices at grade 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, with a singular focus of saying that, can we customize schooling for the need of the child and the parent? As a student, I had to adjust everything according to the physical school. And even today, it does happen, right? I mean, my family's vacation calendar, the leaves that we can take, the marriages that are scheduled, the time that you wake up, the time that you have to go to the tuitions, everything revolves around the school. Why can't the schools be flexible and say that, look, child, we are ready to flex our system to accommodate your needs? And that is what we want to do with the online schooling model. So it's definitely not an option, and I don't see everybody getting into the online school. That's a utopian dream. I mean, you're not looking at daydreams at all here. But even if there is 1% opportunity for learners like this, in a country which has 30 crore learners, can we not make them available this choice? I mean, that's the simple thing that we want to solve. I mean, one of the things that we have changed in terms of the pedagogy, I think we were very clear when we were building the entire online schooling, is that what works in the physical school will never work in the online school. It's not about teaching the same structures. It's not having the same timetable. So the pedagogy that we have built up on is a data-driven approach. I have a student in grade 6. She had shifted from the state board school to online school, and the parent was excited in the PTM because the child scored 78 out of 100. And the teacher was not happy, and the facilitator gave her feedback. Look, your child has done well in English, but she lacks in comprehension. She is able to read English, but she's not understanding English. The comprehension is missing. And the parents were absolutely flabbergasted. I mean, they said that, what are you talking about? She can read English. No, but my assessment, my data-driven assessment is showing that the child is lacking in comprehension. So we are able to give that kind of a minute data-driven perspective about learning, about every student, and that's what is making the difference. I'm not surprised that 93% of our learners don't take any physical tuitions or online tuitions anywhere in the country. I mean, which is very flip model if we talk about the physical schools, what happens. So that's a big changer. The complete focus is on skill-based learning, and that's the model that we use as the flip learning. In fact, 21K is a flip of K-12 school because we use the flip learning model. Essentially, the online, the flip learning model says about the classroom becomes homework, homework becomes classwork. So there's a lot of active engagement, involvement in terms of how the learners learn in the online school, and that has been the key differentiator. And we've ensured personalized, flexible learning, and absolutely committed to the excellence, because we know that our parents are watching our facilitators. They can see the recording at the end of the day. Initially, I used to get the messages, Yashwan, this teacher is not pronouncing this word correctly. And imagine this happening in the physical school, which is a black box, right? I mean, today the parents are getting more value for the money which they are spending because exactly they're getting what they want. It's not just about saving 5 hours time, but it's also pursuing your passion. So my son, who's been with 21K School Hriday for the last 5 years since the beginning, I mean, he's now in grade 3, and he wants to pursue his passion for entrepreneurship, football, and art, and he's been able to sell the paintings. And that is simply because he's de-stressed about schooling. I mean, जैसे कहावत है ना कि हलवाई अपनी मिठाई नहीं खाता. I was very sure that when my child was born in 2016, I'm not going to put him into school. Thankfully, the online schooling happened, and then he's the online school. Because the stress which a child goes through today, I mean, trust me, I think, if you have kids, your children are facing much bigger mental health and stress issues if he's going to a physical school. The travel time, the transport, the stress of performance, the peer pressure, the tuitions, tutorials, and all this in an environment where he's not able to follow his passion can kill. I mean, imagine all of us working in a company where I'm assigned to do certain things which I'm not skilled at, which I'm not capable, which is not my interest. Imagine a finance person giving a job of marketing, right? I mean, which is not skilled at, does not enjoy, he's not going to perform, he's going to leave, quit. But unfortunately, in our system, the learners do not have a choice. They do not have a say in the system. And the entire system is built for the learners, which is not really increasing. I mean, so that's the window of opportunity that we want to give students. It's completely, skill-based. It's a highly technical environment. Our students get access to the Microsoft suite, the Google suite, the Canva. There's a learner who was awarded by Canva for creating beautiful backgrounds. Nithila Das who's the fastest girl in India, who's a motorbiker and road biker. Number of stories that we've all captured in the book. Padlet, Canva, personalized learning platform. These students are ready for this generation. Most of us think that our kids should get the same education that I had got. I mean, of course, we're all proud of our schooling and education, but that century was different. This century is different. You really can't prepare your kid for the future in today's context where the world has changed around. Probably when we started our schooling, there was no internet, there was no iPhone, there was no iPads, there was no AI for sure, there was no social media, there was no YouTube to learn. Absolutely, there was nothing, of that sort. For that century, for the industrial age, where data and information was the prime thing, it was absolutely essential. Today, with AI and ChatGPT, knowledge is free. I can evaluate my doctor's prescription by uploading the prescription and take a incentive. I can't be as skilled as a doctor, but I can definitely get that knowledge. Knowledge is free to anyone. I can advise my finance team, my marketing team, business development, anybody. But skill sets are not there. What ChatGPT or AI will never be able to do is that help us to implement things. That is going to be the key. So can we really empower our learners with critical thinking, problem solving, communication, collaboration across geographies and cultures? That's going to be a significant change in terms of what we can do. So definitely, I think there are certain myths that parents always come about. In an online school, my child will be isolated. I don't think so. Because I've seen both as a parent and as a founder interacting with thousands of parents. I think the bigger fear should be about, is my child being isolated in the world that is being created, that's being built? It's a completely unknown world. We don't know what kind of world the child is going to work. A child in grade 1 today is going to step into the professional world about 20 years later, and no one can imagine. Just imagine our world 20 years back. We didn't have apps, we didn't have mobile banking, we didn't have Uber, we didn't have Amazon Fresh, we didn't have Zepto. The world has changed. Imagine 20 years later, are we preparing the kids for that generation? Or are we preparing the generation for the 20th and 19th century? So there are definitely a lot of fears and myths and things which we have seen, and we've completely changed things. The cost of, I was recently watching the podcast hosted by Naval Ravikant, a very proficient thinker and investor in USA. All his kids are homeschooled or unschooled, and he gives uninhibited screen time for his kids. It's amazing to see a child who is not learning today digitally, consuming the right content, and the child will be forced to use all the digital tools and devices in the wrong way out of the fascination of technology. It'll be hard for me to see any child who's not fascinated with technology. This generation of Gen Alpha are absolutely techno-savvy, and you really can't. I still remember in grade 5 when my teacher allowed me to write with fountain pen. My parents were not happy. They said, no, this is going to spoil your handwriting. Right? That was a tool, a technology that was there. In nursery, we were not allowed to write in the books because we said you have to use the slate and the chalk because of the fine motor skills and gross. Today, how many schools use slate? Technology has evolved. We have gone back to the iPad where the child is drawing on the iPad rather than a slate. Today, the technology is about data-driven instruction and the online school, which can happen. So my call to the parents is to, to look at schooling from the child's perspective. I think what is most important is that, is your child happy? Is your child engaged? Is the child following the passion that he or she is keen on it? Do give the time. It's very sad, when I see that parents have outsourced the upbringing of the child to the schools. Schools are not daycare center. They were never meant to be daycare center. I think you look at the NEP or any in the last 4 or 5 editions of NEP or education policy, it was never designed to be made as a place for socialization. It was never meant to be a place for upbringing or raising the child. It was specifically mentioned about bringing in the right knowledge, attitude, character building. It was not meant to be. Schools can't be seen as a daycare center. It's very unfortunate because I think, a lot of parents have succumbed to the peer pressure and saying that, okay, I know that this is a great thing, but I just don't want my neighbors coming and asking that why is the child sitting at home. I think, this journey of about 7,500 parents online school is just the beginning. I'm sure, 21K school will inspire a lot more parents to look at what personalization, flexibility, data-driven instruction can do a child's career. Because if these kids in grade 1 to grade 12 who are already changing their own world, I mean, with just 4,500 learners, if this is our experience, I mean, just imagine if all the physical schools also adopt online technology in terms of bringing in data-driven personalization, flexibility. I mean, India as a demographic dividend with the youth sitting in the classrooms and colleges can transform India really to become the Vishwa Guru. The Vishwa Guru is going to happen because of the talent that we have. I mean, there's fantastic stories that we hear about the student success, and I think that's what our call is, to give more choice, more voice to the learners who are part of the school education system. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Such a wonderful session. Thank you very much, and we wish you all the best. Such a wonderful session, wonderful initiative, and wonderful evening. Once again, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, hi, everybody. Hello, hi, everybody. As I started this evening by calling everybody extraordinary leaders, and that's the reason I am expecting a little more extraordinary energy in the room. So welcome back. Hello, hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you very much. So let's quickly proceed for the third fireside chat of this evening. We have a very special guest for that, ladies and gentlemen, a very special speakers. Please help me to welcome Abhi and you. I think we all have heard them, watched them, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, renowned content creator on YouTube, known for their positive and impactful storytelling. They highlight inspiring stories about India, shed light on social issues, and drive meaningful change through their voices and videos. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to say that we are thrilled and honored to have them here. This is Young India, this is Young Voice, and this is them, ladies and gentlemen. They also got awarded by the for the National Creator Awards by the Prime Minister last year. So I request everybody a round of applause for that as well. And also they're the part of Forbes 30 Under 30. So we are thrilled to have them here. 1.3 crore followers across the platform. And today we are here with them, and they're going to talk about the reimagining education, learning in the age of digital content. For the chair, we can welcome Mr. Daksh Shetty once again on the dais. Everybody, help me to welcome him. Thank you.
All right, Young India. Well said. Abhiraj, Niyati, firstly, welcome to Delhi. You're coming all the way from Bombay. How is the air over here?
The air is surprisingly better than Bombay. So that's the first thing that we... Oh yeah, thank you. You can clap. Like, look, we are content creators. We always love a little bit of applause. So then feel free to clap.
Let's give them a huge round of applause, and also appreciate the fact that they've taken out time from the busy schedules. You know, content creation consumes a lot of time.
Thank you for calling us when the day is so nice. The day is so pleasant.
And the fact that you said that Delhi's weather is a little better than Bombay, I think that's a compliment to all the Delhiites over here, because we don't really believe that Delhi's weather can be better than other places around in Delhi. But all right, how does it feel to be awarded by the Prime Minister himself last year? That's one question that somebody wanted to ask.
Actually, any sort of our upbringing has been such that we've been taught that whatever awards that you get them because whatever you have done in the past. So when you get an award, take it, appreciate it for one day, and then move on, because success is very, very temporary. I mean, success is not bought, it is rented, and the rent is due every single day. So you have to go back to work. The challenges don't get easy, to be very precise. In fact, they get more difficult. Responsibility is added. So we just feel that sense of responsibility that we have to check every single word that we say on a public platform so that nothing goes out of our mouth, which is controversial, which is hurting anybody's sentiment. So yeah, that's also there.
I know why you're saying that, because something very
I
recently.
don't know. I don't know
something-
what you think.
Yeah. No, but having said that, content creation is definitely a career option that a lot of people, take up. But before I get in and jump, straight to the point, how was your schooling journey, your school life? Let's rewind the clock. Let's go back in time. What kind of a student were you back in school?
I went to a normal SSE school. SSE is like the state board of Maharashtra. So I went to a very normal school. Our school just did something different. We didn't have the concept of like notebooks to write stuff. They wanted to make learning easier. So we had worksheets where we'd get, the teacher would teach us a particular chapter and then we'd have worksheets given to us. And then we'd have to solve, say, sums for maths or questions would be asked for science, maybe smaller objective questions, and then the teachers would take it and then evaluate it and then tell us whether we were right or wrong. So we weren't like marked till the unit tests or the exams for, like I know a lot of, like my young cousin is in school right now and he has so many unit tests that keep happening all the time. So we didn't have those many tests. And apart from that, I think I participated in a lot of extracurricular activities, which were mostly essay writing and other elocution competitions, so I did my...
What about you, Abhi?
School was tough. I mean,
that it was.
I used to cry till 4th standard before going to school. I started enjoying school after 8th standard when I realized that, okay, we can make friends over here, we can play volleyball over here, and then it was fun. I mean, school was tough for the initial 4 or 5 years, because a lot of things were beyond our control. I wouldn't understand a lot of things. But after, say, 8th standard or something, I started enjoying school a lot. And now, as I look back, I feel like those were the best days of my life, because at that time, there was no responsibility. We just had the absolute freedom over there. So then, yeah, that's the school life that I remember.
So the two of you have taken up an unconventional career path, so to say. It's not a corporate life that you have. It's not a consulting firm that you're a part of. It's unconventional to a great extent. And I'm sure this is something that wasn't planned, right? You don't plan for something like this. How does online schooling as an ecosystem, cater to today a career option like content creation?
Right. So last year, we decided to run an experiment where we gave learners one module every day. So we had a personal growth and development challenge called Growth 365. And similarly, we had a content challenge called Content Genius Daily, where I would give people curated lessons on different aspects of content creation. And it's so interesting when you start to actually look for information. There is so much information. Like, for example, when you're creating content, I divided the 7 days of the week into, say, storytelling, into shooting camera, shooting, lighting, and audio, and then branding and monetization, PR and analytics and growth strategies and understanding the platform. And I never ran out of content to give because there was so much to learn. Even when you pick up something as technical as shooting, there is so much that you can learn about the camera gear, about lenses, about terms that you use in photography, about the light, the angle of the light and the difference it makes. Or even if you get into something as interesting as branding, where I've seen hour-long lectures on what color should you use and what brand colors actually mean, to actual understanding of how platforms work. So there is enough and more education out there online if you choose to access it, especially for content creation. I mean, there are so many guides, and these guides are not from content creators. They're from actual people experienced in their field. So there'll be public relations professors from a lot of universities putting out their lectures online, talking about how public relations works in the field. You'll have liaisons from YouTube talking about how YouTube works, or people talking about how smaller updates work. Similarly, you'll have, I used to refer to a lot of film content to understand script writing, to understand basics of writing a character well. So all of these details are very easily available online by people who actually do them every day in the real world.
And not just the fact that it's available, it's also accessible to the most remotest parts of India today, right?
It is.
And so, just to follow up on that, online schooling is today accessible, as I said, to rural parts of India. What kind of an impact, Abhi, do you see that making to those remote parts of India?
So just to give a little bit of data, 2 years ago when the budget was announced in 2023, there was one more announcement which was quite exciting. That's the government of India wants to make sure that every single village in India has access to fast internet. And that's huge. I don't have the current data, but in 2023, 67% of India already had access to fast internet. And now there is a policy coming up called BharatNet, which was launched, I think, way back in 2016 or something. The first phase was completed in 2017, where more than 1.5 lakh villages got access to broadband internet. And now the second phase is due to be completed this year or the next. So the point being that 2.5 lakh new villages are going to be connected to the internet. That's going to be a lot of people who will have access to the best education possible. I mean, nobody is stopping them from getting education from Harvard, which was just impossible a few years ago. To put things in perspective, think about it this way, that 15 years ago, we did not think that we would order stuff online, but it has become such a part of our lives, and that's where online education is right now. I mean, think about it this way. We are content creators, we are so-called internet famous, but nobody asks for an autograph anymore. If you meet Virat Kohli tomorrow, you will always prefer taking a selfie with him rather than an autograph. So it is just inevitable. It's not about if it's going to happen, it's about how fast it's going to happen and who is going to adopt it faster. So that's going to happen. And one major problem it's going to solve is that the classroom size is going to increase immensely. I mean, right now, one teacher has responsibility of how many? 60 students, 70 students, not more than that. And teachers in India are overburdened. And that's one major problem. I mean, a lot of times what happens is whenever we talk about education, we only talk about the problem from the student's perspective. But unless the teacher is happy, unless the teacher is from a comfortable environment, the revolution is not going to happen. So we also have to have the conversation about how it is convenient and revolutionary for the teachers. Yeah.
And how do you look at skill sets, technical skill sets, students being job ready for the future markets? Also, if that's one area I would want you to talk about.
So a lot of times we talk about what is conventional and what is unconventional. The times are coming where whatever was conventional is going to become unconventional, and whatever was unconventional is going to be very, very conventional. I'll explain what I mean. So, how many of you have watched this movie called 3 Idiots? Can you raise your hands? Okay. Everybody remembers this scene कि जब भी बच्चा पैदा होता है तभी भी पिताजी कहते हैं कि मेरा बेटा बड़ा होकर इंजीनियर बनेगा. But the truth of the matter is, right now, India produces more engineers in one single year than the entire population of Switzerland. And we don't have that many jobs to offer. So, nothing against engineers. Engineers are doing some excellent job in the field of AI and everything, and we need engineers for different things. But then what's going to happen is the next generation of parents are going to come up with this experience that it is tough to get jobs in the conventional fields. But what happens is when we look at unconventional fields, I believe that the future is more hands-on. I mean, I know that AI is coming, but AI can't be a good gardener. I mean, just look around you. There is a hotel that we are sitting in, and it has an excellent garden. We talk about the problems of every city, and the problems exist because we don't have good urban planners. Don't call them a Mali. Call them an urban planner, and the job immediately sounds quite exciting. So we need more urban planners. We need more artists. And we need people who can do hands-on work. And that's what's going to happen through online education, because once you limit some of your senses, your other senses open up.
Yeah, to just add on to what he said, I feel like a lot of people view online education from the restricted prism of how it can help you with your soft skills or with skills that you're currently learning, like how do I solve my mathematics problem. But there's also a whole section of knowledge out there to actually teach you how to do real world skills. Some of the most popular videos on the internet, on YouTube in the field we operate in are videos where people are breaking stuff, not with a hammer, quite literally, those are also popular, but actually deconstructing stuff, conducting experiments. Cooking, gardening. I watch gardening videos. I watch videos of people on how they compost, how they actually grow different plants, how you can grow a sitafal tree at home, for example. So these are also careers that are going to come up. And these are also careers that are supplemented by education. I don't necessarily mean that online education from the prism of how can I get a better salary because of AI. No, but you can also learn how to change a tire from a YouTube video and have it supplement your own business. So these hard skills, these hand skills that actually require your hands can also be supplemented with online education. And to be honest, I feel those are the skills that are going to be more in demand as AI gets smarter and some jobs kind of become redundant because of AI. But a lot of other traditional jobs that people look down upon will become much more cooler. Like we know in cities that one of the most prized jobs is your cook. So it's already become a job that's such a viable option, just that we don't think that it is. So with online education, similarly, like there are so many women who actually get financial freedom and a lot of respect just because they put their cooking videos on YouTube and they start business empires. So these are conventional things which are now becoming unconventional. It was kind of.
So something that was also considered to be an unconventional career path was entrepreneurship, perhaps 10 years, 15 years back. Today, it's something that is cool, and it ideally should be that way. And there are various factors, that have sort of added to that factor, to that entire phenomena called entrepreneurship today. You come across a lot of content creators who are also entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. You yourselves are, creatorpreneurs, so to say. How do you think online schooling, paves way to students maybe in grade 5th, 10th, to come up with that mindset of starting something of his own or her own?
So, the thing I just want to say that people have always been starting their businesses from way back. From the time we actually had a barter system, everyone who was operating a barter system was essentially running their own business. Because they produced stuff for some cost, and then they exchanged it in exchange for something. Like they exchanged their wheat and got clothes in return. So that was also a business. It's just that for some reason in this country, for various things, we have always never thought that a person doing business is actually something good, unless they're having crores of turnover, unless they're roaming around in suits, or unless they have a lot of media coverage. But the person sitting outside your home who's running a snacks business is also an entrepreneur. So that's that. I feel like soon that mindset shift will change, and that's going to be the real change. When people actually view uncool things or uncool businesses as being worth doing because entrepreneurship is cool. So.
I'll give you more.
No,
I'm done. Perfect. So, yeah, if you want to add to that.
Entrepreneurship. So, can you ask the question again?
So, entrepreneurship was considered to be more of an unconventional role. Today it is. It's more conventional and more cool than it was.
Okay. So, the essential ingredient that you need to be an entrepreneur is the ability to digest failure. Okay. Because your first venture is not going to succeed. There is not a single entrepreneur in the world who had their first venture succeed and then they went on to build like a $1,000 billion company. No, that's not going to happen. You are going to fail. And essentially what is happening is the moment a child goes out of the house, we teach them not to fail. We don't teach, but that's not how kids learn anything. Like if you remember how you learned how to ride a cycle, you learned how to ride a cycle by falling down. If you remember how you learned how to swim, then you learned how to swim by, you know what I mean. Yeah, by gulping down a lot of water. So that's how we learn things. Our brain makes mistakes and then it teaches itself, okay, this is something that we should not do. This is something that hurts us. And then we move on to do better things. Right now, what is happening is we keep our children in such a protected environment that they are afraid of failure. And that is the major criticism that I have about the education system or the parents for that matter. That we should let students go ahead, make mistakes, be protective of them, make sure that nothing hurts them physically, but then still let them make mistakes, come back stronger. And that is what should be happening in the future, that we should encourage people to make constructive mistakes. Instead, we should tell them to fail better, fail faster and fail better. Because if you feel better, then you don't end up repeating the same mistake. Because I had read it somewhere that you can only make a mistake once. If you make the mistake once again, then it's not a mistake, it's a choice. Because you had the choice to learn from your previous mistake, but you didn't, and you made the mistake again. So it's not a mistake anymore, it's a choice.
So, you're rounding up your point about online education for entrepreneurship. I feel like the only change I'm beginning to see right now is that people are actually coming out with their failure stories on how things didn't work. So people are starting to realize that it's not a rosy thing. It's not like you start your business and then there'll be a red carpet rolled out. So I feel that if you actually have business content going out on how it is to actually do a business, then it's giving people a reality check about how tough it is. So that's what it is. Like when people see other people experimenting and doing something, it just gives them the fillip. And the only way they can access all these entrepreneurs is via online education, social media, so to speak. Because otherwise, hearing from business owners and hearing their experiences wasn't a two-way street earlier. And now you can actually talk to people online on different platforms.
One other aspect of online learning overall was that when you're learning something or when you're attending a session, could be a classroom session, could be a workshop, could be just something that is being taught over YouTube, you are learning essentially not necessarily from just an educator, but also somebody who's an educator but can also entertain at the same time. So a new term sort of came up, which was edutainment, in order to keep the attention span of whoever is viewing, because attention span in the last couple of years have substantially dropped. So today you need not a conventional presentation or a conventional, a handbook or something that you have to write down on. Things have changed, things have evolved. So how do you feel storytelling comes into the picture over here? Because storytelling, filmmaking, and understanding, how is it that you can actually explain things to people better over an online platform? Okay. I think things are changing now.
No, things are not changing. In fact, what is happening is, if you know what is Upanishads, then Upanishads are stories. Upanishads are basically easy versions of whatever knowledge was there in our Veds, and made it simple so that students can understand. So we have always started our education journey from stories. Upanishad literally means come next to me and sit. So that is what Upanishad is. So our culture has always focused on stories. What is Ramayana? What stories? Because it's boring to teach geography with diagrams. But if you show Bhagwan Ram's journey, then it's easy to remember. Everybody remembers the journey because it's conveyed in the form of story. Now, when we talk about today's modern era, we have the liberty of taking that story forward through the means of animation, through the means of music, and just combining it together, perfecting the art form. But storytelling has always been a part of the education. For the middle period, say 500, 600 years, it was missing. And right now we are going back to it with the help of modern technology so that we can bring together a lot of the other elements that were not possible before.
Right. And the other aspect of storytelling right now is I feel these days, storytelling is not just limited to words, it's also visual. So if let me give you an example. If I tell all of you, has anybody been to Ladakh from the audience? All right, cool. We also happened to go to Ladakh, and we went to the one place I'm sure none of you all must have visited. We went to Ladakh's biggest landfill. We went to Ladakh's biggest landfill and saw mountains and mountains of plastic bottles, beer bottles, and a lot of other waste that hotels were generating, that tourists were generating because they came to Ladakh. And they all crashed on Ladakh in July and August for two and a half months. So they created a huge mountain of waste. But if I were to just tell you that there is a mountain in Ladakh that none of you know about, then, and that is a mountain of waste, you would not understand the scale. That would not be effective storytelling. But if I actually went there with my camera, climbed on top of the hill, and showed you through a visual format that this is happening because every single one person who comes to Ladakh brings they'll buy a bottle, they'll drink it, and they'll dump it. And this is your impact. This is your footprint when you come to Ladakh. Then people will look at it and they will feel like, I'm responsible for this. So that is visual storytelling. And I feel like the one benefit that online storytelling has over conventional storytelling, like he said, is to combine the visual aspect of it. Because when the visual aspect gets conveyed, then the point actually drives through. I mean, if you actually, when we were small, if we saw a video about people making crafts, it would not be as effective as we actually do us doing it. So if I was just telling you something in a boring way, but if I supplement it with video or some visuals, then that becomes easier to digest. So that's how storytelling in the modern online era is actually, I feel, doing it.
And there's a new tool, today we have virtual reality coming into picture, right? And Abhi, I just wanted to touch upon, how virtual reality is going to sort of help shape the online schooling space.
So when I was a kid, we used to have industrial visits, but there always used to be a problem of budget because as she said that we come from state school and the schools had this limitation that they can't make the industrial visits too expensive because the people were from all walks of life. They were from all stratas of the society. So then there was always a limitation that, okay, the fees should be less than 500 rupees, so then it's affordable for everybody. So then we ended up we used to go to Parle-G Biscuit Factory every year. So how many times will you see Parle-G Biscuit Factory and learn something new about it? But that restriction is not there anymore because of virtual reality. Because the cost of going to Parle-G factory or the cost of going to, say, MIT, it's going to be the same. You have to create the virtual reality for that particular place just once, and that thing can be repeated n number of times. And the experience will be personalized. If a kid wants to take more time in one particular area, it's very much personalized for them if it's virtual reality. If I'm quite interested in space. Neo is quite interested in marine life. And when we go to a museum, we easily split. And then she spends more time what interests her, at the place what interests her. And I spend more time at a place that interests me. So that sort of freedom right now is missing from the entire education system. And that's why a lot of kids feel bored. I mean, I feel all kids are special, all kids are unique. And they do have their calling. God doesn't create trash. God creates something with a purpose only. It's just that some people discover that purpose when they are 15 and some people discover their purpose when they are 50. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a purpose. Right now, with personalized education, we can just help them, aid them in finding their purpose as early as possible. So then, as a country, we don't lose out on this demographic dividend. You see, India has a great advantage right now. That is the demographic dividend. What do I mean? That most of our population is below the age of 25. That means we have the chance, we have the age, we have the energy to try something, fail at it, learn from it, try something new, and then succeed at it. We are not going to have it forever. After 1950, 1960, it's gone. And then all of this is 2060. It's gone. And then all of this is a pipe dream. So it's not going to happen. And right now, the demand for good education is so much that the supply is lacking behind. So I feel with virtual reality and all sorts of modern education, we can fill that.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add that he got taken to the Parle Ji factory. I got taken to my Nukkadwala Sabzi Mandi for a visit. I was never taken to any factory.
I don't want to understand what were the learnings from it, but I'm sure there were a few.
I was too young. I don't think I cared. They herded us and then they took us back. We were like, okay.
Fair
okay. I don't know what I'm supposed to learn.
Having said that, I would love for some audience members to ask some questions. So if at all anybody has a question, please, you can raise your hand and we'll pass a mic. Anybody for Abhiyan Neo? Yeah, ma'am has a question over here. Can we get her a mic? Yeah, getting a mic.
Hi. So I love your content and it's so, I mean, it feels like, okay, you have done something productive being online. When I listen to your videos, okay, I got to learn something. One thing I'm interested in knowing that how did you guys start? That's the more difficult thing for me, you know, getting started. You have the ideas, you have the resources sometimes, but you just cannot, you know, get yourself to get started. And because you're so scared that will this work, will this not work? So I'm just interested to know how did you get started and build this?
It's very interesting that you ask, and I'll give you an example that is not related to the content creation field, because the question that you're asking is less related to content creation, and it's more about how to start something. Because I was just reading today that starting something, it's the most difficult thing. Like you wake up and then just going to the gym is the most difficult part. Once you reach the gym, you realize that, okay, I enjoy this. I can do it at my own pace. But just waking up, wearing those shoes and just reaching the gym and starting that treadmill is the tough part. So the best answer to that is just reduce friction. Right now, when you look at our content or when you look at anybody else's content, you are looking at it, you are looking at that creator after that person has created probably 1,000 videos. But when we started, we were as amateur as you would be right now. So then if you remove that friction from your mind, that you have to be as good as we are after 1,000 videos, then it will be much easier for you to just get started. And ultimately, just keep this in mind. These two words are golden words that nobody cares. So these could be the greatest curse or the greatest blessing. So how greatest curse? Because nobody cares, nobody is going to watch your videos. And greatest blessing is that nobody cares. If nobody is watching, then who are you performing for? I realize that life becomes simple when you realize that life is not a performance, life is an experience. You experience things, you figure out whether you're enjoying it or not, and then if you are enjoying it, you continue it. If you don't enjoy it, you move on to something better. But it's an experience, it's not a performance. It's like, I think we were talking about Naval Ravikant. Naval Ravikant says that life is a single player game. You have to figure out how you enjoy it yourself. Like there is no one set path. You can just make your stuff as you go along.
Yeah, and the other thing about how we started was, it was quite random. We had to take a lot of shots in the dark. And we frankly just told ourselves that if it doesn't work, it's okay. I think that's the biggest thing. That we told ourselves if it doesn't work, it's okay. At least we did something fun for 1 year. And like when we are 40, 50, 60, we'll be like, haan, theek hai. We did some time pass when we were kids. We didn't sit in a cubicle all day long. We did something fun. It was incredibly difficult though to do it. It was very tough. We started with for context, we started with a series called 100 Reasons to Love India when we went full time. So at that time, I used to freelance write for a lot of different companies. He was editing videos at the same time, and we had a home loan we had to pay off. So we didn't have a lot of leeway, but that's how we did it. You know, we've traveled in trains, buses, even in a cylinder transporting truck in Tripura. Very interesting story. But, that's kind of how we did it, you know. We just told ourselves that it's okay to screw up this entire year, no consequences. Because that's the biggest thing. For some reason, we're very scared of failure.
That's interesting. That's a lot of hard work that has gone behind, to where you are today. Can we have a round of applause for Avi and you, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so much, Avi and you. This was definitely very, very, very insightful. And we look forward to, of course, hosting you very soon.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. All right. Well, I was expecting a little more clappings for them. It was indeed exciting, insightful, and most importantly, I would say, so many takeaways and learnings. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with our next panel discussion, where we're going to talk about the joy of offline schooling, a parent's perspective. It's going to be indeed interesting because we have lined up 3 amazing speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome them on stage. Mr. Karan Veer Bora. Is he here, everybody? Join me to welcome him. All right, I think our speakers are just joining us in a few minutes. But what an incredible and interesting topic it's going to be, the joy of online schooling, a parent's perspective. How many of you are here parents as well? Oh, many of us. Lovely, lovely. It feels really surreal, isn't it? Being an educator and also a parent. Lovely. So this will be one of the best sessions of this evening. I am thrilled and I'm really excited to welcome these lovely speakers on stage. Ladies and gentlemen. Well, just to drop some hint that we have some very famous personalities for this particular panel discussion. So just hold your breath, be here. If you can grab the front row chairs, it will be really nice for you to experience this. Ladies and gentlemen. All right, so now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our second panel discussion, the joy of online schooling, a parent's perspective. Please do join me to welcome everybody with a round of applause. Mr. Karan Veer Bora, everybody, please help me to welcome him. He's an iconic TV actor, producer, inspirational storyteller, and yoga instructor and singer and whatnot, I would say, isn't it? A round of applause, everybody. Help me to welcome him. Now, please help me to welcome Ms. Tishka Chopra, everybody. Help me to welcome. Beyond her remarkable acting chops, Ms. Chopra is also a best-selling author, director, producer, and storyteller who has been known for sparkling socially relevant conversations through her work. Tare Zameen Par, recent Madar Mubarak are the testimony to her versatile performances on the silver screen. Help me to welcome everybody. Join me to welcome Ms. Neha Nagar, everybody. I want a little more energy, a little more clapping. Is one of India's first finance influencer with 5 million followers, over 8 years of experience in the finance industry. She has worked as wealth manager and is also an entrepreneur and angel investor. Now, please help me to welcome our chair, Mr. Daksh Shetty. Once again, kindly be here with us on stage. And everybody, with the warmest and the coolest round of applause. Thank you.
All right, the panel discussion that we all have been waiting for. Certainly, I can see everybody smiling at the back. Again, phones are in, faces are up. All right, welcome.
The way you've been saying waiting for, are you expecting some controversy or something? No? Because I think we're done with that
Absolutely
in the past
nothing.
couple of days.
Also, we've already touched that topic already, so we are not talking about that anyway. But thank you so much for sparing time and gracing the occasion. Of course, that's going to be an important topic that we'll be talking about today. We're talking about online schooling. It's unconventional, it's something new, and it's something really, really interesting. Karan, we'll start with you. Being a parent, online schooling is now kicking in. How do you feel about it?
Hello, everybody. How are you guys? I'm coming from Jaipur, and it's the month of Feb. I really expected it's going to be colder in Delhi. यार ठंडी कहाँ गई? जाड़े के दिन खत्म हो गए क्या? खत्म हो गए? शी निकाल दो फिर मैं. एकदम मैं तो तैयार व्यार हो गया यार. जैकेट वैकेट पहन के. I think online schooling came as a big boon during COVID. When the pandemic happened, I think that was the best. I think everybody shifted to online, and it was not easy because besides playing on the phone or playing games on the laptop, children didn't do anything else. So when pandemic came, we wanted to give them schooling for a good couple of months. Schooling was online, and I think it kind of a breakthrough happened during that time. And now that the schools are back, but I think online is getting even bigger because it's not just the schooling, it's the classes that make so much of a difference. So I think online is here to stay for long and for good. And it's only going to get better and better. Yeah.
Ms. Chopra, I would love to hear from you as well.
Good evening, everyone. I'm back in Delhi, which is the place where I grew up, and it is also which is the most warm-hearted place. Good food, good weather, great to be in Delhi. About online schooling, my daughter during COVID, as Karan mentioned, was something that we had to encounter. And initially there were reservations because, we used to a traditional way of thinking. We're used to thinking that bachcha school jayega, wo to hona hi hai. But as I saw what happened during COVID, we were able to spend so much more time with her. She didn't waste time traveling. She was spending a lot of time looking at videos that the school was sending. So there was a lot of actual learning that happened with her. And much as we like it, the digital age is very much here. And with AI, it's going to be even more so. So explaining tough concepts, for example, when I was in school, I couldn't understand why people in Australia don't fall off the earth. Because wo to niche hai, wo to gir jane chahiye niche. So, it was very difficult at that point to understand that there's, gravity that holds us all around the globe from each angle, and you're sort of, like spokes on the surface of the earth. It was difficult. But with AI and all of that, I think it's going to just become far, far, far more, because these kids are all extremely digitally savvy. They're like click, 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 click. They're roaming around the internet freely. So I think for them, it's a wonderful option to be able to school themselves, particularly if you are looking at a child that is looking at something besides education. Only just hardcore, if a child is into extracurriculars, like a really, really good friend of mine, she's in online school because she's looking at pro tennis. So her parents send her to, she's attending online school, she's in Dubai, and she plays, she's in the gym 6 hours a day. Tennis and gym is 6 hours a day. So, but she's still getting her quality education. So when you're looking at something as special as that, then online school is a wonderful, wonderful option.
That's quite interesting. You get a lot of time, and you can do a lot of other things as well. Neha, your daughter's turning 2 in a few months. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes, so first of all, namaste everyone. And so sorry, Karanveer. Sorry to disappoint you, but hamara weather abhi better ho gaya. So we are so happy about it. Sadly, you are not, but it's okay. So I don't have practical experience as yours because my daughter is just 2 years, not just 2, about to be 2 years old. But talking from the financial perspective, I will just add to whatever you have just said. Currently, India has more than 12% inflation, meaning in every 5 years, school, colleges fees doubles. And it is a big, big burden on middle class pocket, and even our middle class is shrinking right now. So online schooling is a way better option for those.
Sorry to interrupt you. Even I'm middle class. I have three
Oh,
children.
please.
I have three children, and भाई बहुत पैसे लगते हैं स्कूल में. मैं तो convert हो रहा हूँ भाई साहब online में सच्ची. I can't afford it. You're right. You're absolutely right.
You are not certainly middle class, but जो लोग middle class actually में हैं उनके लिए बहुत ही बड़ा burden होता है. अभी दिल्ली NCR में अभी हम हैं, यहाँ पर भी average colleges schools की जो fees है वो 10,000 12,000 per month है, and it's not easy to pay out of pocket of जो अभी दिल्ली का population है. So online schooling is a very great option for those who are looking to save money on child's education, because of course education will be better because NCRT will be there also, CBSE will be there also in online cases also. So you'll not compromise on the quality of education, number one, and you'll save money. Number two, you'll save time also in the cost of transportation, and schools and colleges charge a lot of heavy money on uniform. They change uniform every year, development fees, and falana dikana ki fees they add every year, and it's a big burden on middle class people.
Just to add a follow-up question to what Ms. Chopra mentioned, you have a friend whose daughter's she's playing tennis, and then she's doing a few other things. She's going to the gym. She's doing her online schooling. How do you feel online schooling will have an impact on filmmaking, theater, acting? That space with online schooling, you get a lot of time suddenly.
Actually, during COVID, I just directed a feature film. I did my training as a director at Masterclass, which is I mean, of course, I had many years on set with some wonderful directors. I can't say that Sara kuch online hi sikha, but a lot of the learning did come through learning from some of the greats in the world. So that access does happen. You have access to the world because that's what the internet does. And so I learned online. Things like robotics, things like music, drama, filmmaking, because it's something that can be taught very easily online. The kind of modules that can be created for filmmaking particularly, and everyone's a filmmaker today, everyone's making reels. Can I have a show of hands as to how many people are making reels?
We just had Abhi and New over here, who are big on YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, there you go. So people who are making videos on YouTube, on Instagram, are already making very short films. So that's already happening, and it's happening online, so it's happening in the digital space. So I don't see the necessity of necessarily going to a film school to be able to learn, because particularly with AI coming in, it'll become very easy to show you splices, edits, cuts to music, transitions. In fact, a lot of filmmaking going into the future is including stuff such as ASMR and other such things, transitions, which you learn from actually doing stuff on Instagram. I'd be killed by some classical filmmakers for saying things like that, but hey, we live in an evolving world, and films are only a reflection of what is happening in society. So if Instagram is what it is today, and all of these techniques are there, and also further very heavily specialized skills can be taught online completely, particularly with the benefit of AI.
Right. Mr. Karan, I would have a follow-up question on that. How do you see filmmaking, theater, acting in your domain boom? Of course, it's the era of reels, as Ms. Chopra mentioned. But what is the future? What lies ahead?
No doubt Tiska will be shot by one of the great legends, directors for propagating, social media as the way to make movies, but that is the future, okay? That whether they like it or not, you got to change with time, Like, we used to wonder, why, in the 90s, our parents are so, passe, they like all those 60s music, we're so cool, but now we realize that the Gen Zs or the Gen Alphas, they're now a step ahead, and so you have to move with that trend. And yeah, one thing what I really like is that there's no time now. That's a big aspect. You know, you don't have those 3 years to give to a film school. You don't have those 5 years to give to, you know, NSD to, you know, do that. I mean, our time was different in the 90s. We used to spend hours and hours at Prithvi Theatre, just chilling there. एक साल acting नहीं की. We used to just do backstage work and all. वो कहता था कि this is the way to learn acting. You know, you learn backstage and all. So we learned our generation, the millennials, we learned it the hard way and the fun way. I think that was the best way to learn because on the job is the most amazing way to learn. But right now, there's no time, you know. And there are a lot of courses that I take online, you know, whether it's even theater for that matter, you know, workshops. 15-day workshop, every year I do one workshop, but online. I don't have the time to go there and do it. I mean, I do other things, but I take online workshops, you know. So I think online is the only way ahead.
Just adding to what, you know, he said, Neha, you come from the finance domain, from the finance field, and you have a lot of people today making online courses, and talking about a lot of different aspects of finance, which otherwise would have been just a niche area to study in. And today it's easily accessible to pretty much everybody. How do you see that, you know, coming into online schooling? Because, you know, suddenly a 7th grader, a 10th grader can also now understand the stock market, you know, which otherwise would have been a specialization in class 11th, 12th. So I think that ease of accessibility has really changed. So how do you see the future of online schooling as far as unconventional, you know, study material is concerned?
I think why we right now have more followers, why we are gaining so much traction online engagement, because our schools, colleges did not teach us, did not taught us about financial concept, financial management. That's why we are gaining a lot of followers.
How many followers do you have on Instagram?
I have overall 5 million followers across social media platforms.
That's a nonchalant way of saying this, but can we have a round of applause for that? Right? Takes a lot of effort.
But there was a gap actually that we are filling, but schools need to fill actually. The financial inclusion, the financial literacy we need to teach at every school right now. So online schooling can be a great initiative to teach concepts like financial health or wealth management, or even about health also. There is a huge gap about health education also in India. People are not aware about nutrition, not about health concepts also, how much protein they should take every day. So these are the very basic life level life skills which schools need to teach, and our traditional schools are not teaching. So now online schools can be a great initiative to teach these type of skills, and I'm looking forward to online schools and students graduating from these schools, because I know they will do better because they'll have entire concepts ready about real life world. So yeah, this is a great initiative.
Ms. Chopra, just also adding to what you previously mentioned, how do you see confidence of a student of maybe a 10th grader who's an 8th grader, you know, also changing from somebody who was an 8th grader maybe 10 years back? So just to rephrase the question, how do you see a change in personalities of students today who are going through online schooling versus somebody maybe 10 years back who was also an 8th grader but was through a conventional schooling system?
I'm not sure I'm equipped to answer that question, honestly, because I have not encountered too many people from online school except for my friend's daughter, who's the same as my daughter, who's going to a regular school. My daughter's going to a regular school. Saira's going to an online school. So no difference. They're exactly the same, except one wants to pursue pro tennis, like I mentioned. But what I feel to look at another aspect, my husband is his family is from the Air Force. My father-in-law was in the Air Force. And my husband keeps talking about the fact that they change schools every 2.5 years. It's very unsettling. It's very, very demanding on the child, because you're constantly having to move. So your education and your sense of where you are with your program of learning is disturbed. So for parents who are looking at, not just as Neha mentioned, from a financial perspective, but also from a perspective of steadiness. So, you know, there are certain people who are living in areas which are inaccessible to good schooling. It's not just कि किसी भी school भेज दो. It has to be quality education. So quality education, a certain standard maintained. So I think online schooling is a fabulous answer to that, because it meant you could log in at and then there are recordings of classes. So you don't really miss school. Even if you're unwell, you can watch the recording later and all of that. Having said that, coming to your original question, how are children different from the time, I can answer that. So there's this really funny incident that happened. My daughter was not going off to sleep. I was asking her to go to sleep, regular mother-daughter conversation. सो जाओ, अभी 10 मिनट बचे हैं, मुझे अपना एपिसोड देखने के बाद सोना है, basic every household का story. So I said, सो जाओ abhi. So she said, no, I want to finish this. I said, you won't get up in time. She said, I will. I said, but your brain won't be sharp enough in the morning because you haven't got your adequate hours of sleep. So she said, my life, my choices, my actions, my consequences. I was like, okay, this generation of kids, there's no arguing with them. There's certainly at a different level of self-confidence from inside. They're far more aware and they know कि उन्हें क्या चाहिए, उन्हें किस तरह से वो चीज़ चाहिए, उनका communication और उनका articulation इतना अच्छा और इतना specific है कि कई बार हम जो अपने आप को दुनिया में बहुत smart समझते हैं, we feel I have to be on my toes to keep up with my daughter who's only 12 and I'm dreading कि वो 13 or 14 or 15 पे जाके मैं कैसे जवाब दूंगी. I mean, it keeps me awake at night thinking that, how am I going to manage with a child that is, thinking like that. And she's not by no means the exception. उसकी क्लास में सभी ऐसे हैं, सभी ऐसे जवाब देते हैं, सभी ऐसे सोचते हैं, सभी ऐसी बातें करते हैं. So it's a challenge rather than for them, it's a challenge for us. How do we keep up with kids?
Karan, how are you keeping up with your kids?
Man, just the question that you asked, Iska, I want to share what I just heard recently. And I think we all, read it. I don't know if you guys read it or not, that the children in class are getting smarter than the teachers. The chat GPT and the AIs, they have more answers than the teachers. And because my family, there are a couple of teachers and they're they're worried because they have these meetings. They're saying that we have to up our game because they ask a question and they know more than what the teacher would give an answer. Because earlier what would happen in school or college, you'd ask a question, कुछ समझा देते थे, उसके बाद ठीक है समझ गए. But now you can check immediately, okay, this, she didn't say this, you didn't say that, so they get in a spot. So it's the 8th standard child 10 years back was way different from the 8th standard child right now. It's scary for, as I said earlier, you have to up your game. You have to be part of this change or else you'll become obsolete. रही बात how I'm managing मेरे बच्चों के साथ, luckily 8 साल के ही हैं, 12 के नहीं है, but I'm dreading when they turn 12, 13, oh my God, and I have 3 daughters. तो अभी भी है ना, at this age, 7, 8 में, they're not, जब सोने का time है, we snatch and they still can't say that. Probably maybe after 3-4 years, you never know, you can expect anything from these Gen Alphas. But what we do is, just before sleeping, and you said correctly that your brain won't get that rest, and I believe that for myself also. Okay, हम लोग भी जब सोते हैं उसके पहले कितना phone देखते हैं, scroll करते रहते. So I read it somewhere, and that's how I followed with my children also, that at least half an hour before sleeping, shut your phones, don't watch your phones, because your mind needs to rest. So I do a small little meditation with the children, do Om. सोने के पहले 4-5 हाथ पकड़ के करते हैं और फिर उसके बाद सो जाते हैं. तो वो फ़ोन का चक्कर नहीं था, तो वो everything is off, and then once it's morning, back to the routine of my rules, my time.
This is for Tiska. Since you're a director, I'm asking this question to you. Imagine you are doing a remake of Tare Zameen Par 2. Same background, Ishan Avasthi, same set of problems, with online schooling available. Where do you see the storyline going?
What a good question. What a wonderful question. I don't know, I'll have to think about that because I think the film was in the making for like, Amol Gupte wrote the film, I think, couple of years. And then we took about 1.5 years to shoot the film. And I'm not going to answer this question in 2 minutes because I don't think that's smart. But what I do see is that perhaps there would be art classes. And so what happens is that when certain people are not good at certain subjects, but in school you have to be good at everything. You have to be up to a certain level in everything. I think with online school you can probably specialize and pick the subjects that you want to excel in. And that creates a unique opportunity like my friend who I keep mentioning. You know, it gives you more freedom, frankly. Because I think that, you know, you're not thinking in the conventional ways of doctor, engineer type thinking. And the way the world is right now, I mean, who had thought even 7, 8 years ago social media influencer would be a thing? And it is such a huge thing. In fact, strangely, Karan, you would know this, that casting in my business, in our business, is now also influenced by the number of followers that you have on social media. Shocking. Shocking. Casting directors are asking, "Ke dikhna yaar kitne follower hain uske?" And I was told as a director that isko cast karo na, iske followers bahut hain social media pe. And I was like, ye kya bol rahe ho aap? But that is the fact because they have that sway over audiences. So people are getting cast because they've created that niche for themselves, coming to the point of that if Darshil or Ishan had the choice, his father would not be so worried about kya banega, kya hoga, kaisa hoga. He would understand. He would also be aware कि और बहुत सारे professions हैं. So he would also be a little calmer. And I think I would be very happy not sending him to hostel.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am, over here has a question. We'll take one more after this.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy and privileged to be here. My question is, in a scenario where so many content creators are there, a child like Ishan Avasthi, wouldn't he get lost in the labyrinth of these contents? How would he identify what he should watch, what he should not?
I think everybody can take an answer for that. Everybody can give their points.
So you're asking that if Ishan Avasthi became an influencer, what
he's a viewer. He wants to choose whom to follow and whom not to follow. So he might be misled by somebody who's not smart enough in the content creation, who might be befooling the audience by his or her tactics. So how would this little child who's so innocent judge?
Because he would have a smart mom like me. And I would tell him, इसे मत follow कर, उसे follow कर. चल आजा ये reel साथ में देखते हैं. ये देखते हैं ये art class ले रहा है, इसको देख. चल आजा. तू जा tennis खेल. To the elder son, तू आजा मेरे साथ ये reel देख. चल दोनों painting करते हैं. I'd say that.
Also, we have to lead by example. So we should watch right content in front of them. And there are multiple features on social media platforms. Like for example, on YouTube also, you can turn kids section there, and the videos which you want your child to watch, those type of videos will appear in their feed. So there are multiple features over there. You can report some type of accounts so that your child does not view those type of accounts. So there are multiple features. You need to be very smart when using social media, and you need to know all the features those are available for the child on social media platforms.
You know,
I actually had this huge negotiation with my daughter. She wanted to be on Snapchat. And I had done an event for Snapchat, and I know that they don't allow kids below 13. I know that because they mentioned it. So I told her, I can't. I'll be doing something illegal. She said, make it under your name. Let me have Snapchat. All my friends have it. I said, tell me which ones have it. I'll have their parents reported to cybercrime. That stopped that discussion right there. So actually there are guidelines to make sure that kids below a certain age, it's not allowed. Below 13 is not allowed for you to have an account unless a parent is monitoring it. So those checks and balances are in place, but if the problem is also with us, because when I'm on a call and I'm doing something, I'm like, okay, just take the iPad, just go. Just get off my face and just do what you need to do, you know. That's also our responsibility. We cannot abdicate that responsibility and say, कि अब जब हमें चाहिए कि तुम सोना है या तुमने ये करना है. So we have to also discipline ourselves in order to be able to discipline the kids. We can't just say that discipline is only something that is applicable to children. हम कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. Because जब हम busy होते हैं तब तो हम उन्हें पकड़ा देते हैं. But then now they will use that moment when you're on that work call. They can sense by your expression and your body language that how serious is the call for you. They'll come and bug you at that time. And then you'll say, okay, take the iPad and go. So then you have to say, okay, listen, I'm sorry, I have a crisis with my kid and I'll call you back. And then you say no, and then come back and do your call. So you have to have that as well. So
when social media actually took prominence during COVID, none of us had an idea, okay, what do we do? So we would just give the phone or the iPad or anything. Now, in the past 3-4 years, we all have understood the importance of online schooling or social media watching for children and how to have a parental control, which is so important, and rules and regulations. So now we understand from a younger age, okay, हमारे बच्चे तो 8 के हो गए, 12 के हो गए, your child is 2. So it is from this age that the parent is the one who would start, you know, the parenting control. Rules and regulations kahin bhi ho sakte hain, but when the child wants to do it, he'll do it anyhow. So you start that discipline from the beginning itself, and that's how the child will start growing. So you need to take that step right now. You know, अब जो हो गया सो हो गया, हमारी board तो चली गई. But this is the board that needs to be traveled on.
Also as a new parent, मैं खुद को बहुत educate करने की try करती हूँ कैसे मैं अपने बच्चे को screen free रखूँ, क्या दिखाऊँ, क्या नहीं दिखाऊँ. तो इसमें मेरा time actually बहुत ज़्यादा जाता है. जो time मैं अपने business को build करने में लगा सकती हूँ, वो वहाँ की जगह मैं अपने आप को educate करने में लगाती हूँ. And इसी तरीके से मुझे पता लगा था कि YouTube Kids अगर आपने on भी किया हुआ है, then also YouTube आपके बच्चे को कुछ ऐसा content recommend कर सकता है जो उसको नहीं देखना चाहिए. प्लस कुछ ऐसे यूट्यूब चैनल्स हैं जो ऑलरेडी सभी बच्चे देखते होंगे अंडर 8 के या अंडर 10 के, बट उनका जब आप कंटेंट पूरा देखोगे ना तो आपको रियलाइज़ होगा कि यार ये तो अडल्ट टाइप का कंटेंट है, ये किस टाइप का लैंग्वेज यूज़ कर रहे हैं, ये किस टाइप के कपड़े पहने हुए, ये किस टाइप का रेसिज्म चल रहा है. तो आप फिर देखोगे कि आप नहीं चाहते हो अपने बच्चे को इस तरीके के एनवायरनमेंट में पलते हुए या बढ़ते हुए देखना, बिकॉज वो जो देखेगा वो कल जाके बाहर भी वैसे ही करेगा. तो जैसे मोटू पतलू है, बहुत सारे ऐसे एग्जाम्पल्स आपके सामने आ जाएंगे जिनमें आपको छोटी छोटी से नोटिस करेंगे कि कैसे उनके माइंड में कितनी सारी चीज़ें फीड की जा सकती है जो आप चाहते नहीं हो कि फीड हो, बट वो यूट्यूब की वजह से फीड हो रहा है. और यूट्यूब क्योंकि फ्री कॉन्टेंट है, इतनी ज़्यादा वीडियोज़ अपलोड होती है एवरी डे, एंड यू कांट कंट्रोल कि क्या आपके सामने आ रहा है क्या नहीं. बट ये शायद उनके प्रिवेसी के अगेंस्ट हो जाए आपके बच्चों के, बट आपको थोड़ा बहुत रेगुलरली वीक में एक बार, मंथ में एक बार उनका जो वॉच हिस्ट्री है वो चेक करना ही चाहिए कि क्या किस टाइप का कंटेंट वो देख रहे हैं. और इफ़ यू डोंट वांट कि किसी पर्टिकुलर टाइप का कंटेंट वो देखे तो उसको रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दो, नॉट इंटरेस्टेड कर दो, फीचर्स का यूज़ करो, बट यू हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी अलर्ट. आई टेल यू, क्योंकि मुझे ऐसी वीडियोज़ मिली थी जो बच्चों के लिए रिकमेंड हो रही थी, जो मैं बोलती कि मैं तो कभी नहीं चाहूँगी मेरी बच्ची कि इस टाइप की लैंग्वेज यूज़ करे, इस टाइप का लोगों को रेसिज्म या किसी भी टाइप का वर्ड्स यूज़ करे. सो यू हैव टू बी वेरी अलर्ट इफ़ यू आर न्यू पेरेंट इन दिस डिजिटल एज.
Yes, ma'am. We'll take one last question.
Yeah, hi. One question I have regarding mental health. Like when we saw during the COVID era, we saw a lot of children reaching out to psychiatrists. As parents, we had to take them too. And interestingly, once the school started, all of it went away. I mean, probably I didn't have to take my daughter for a session with a psychiatrist. Interestingly, if this is the scenario with online studying, Do you think that mental health would require an additional support system for children who are opting for this?
Interesting question. Who would want to take this up? Karan, yeah.
You know, you'll have to repeat the question, frame it a little bit more simpler, because is it regarding online schooling or
Yes.
mental health in?
Yeah, so I've taken anecdotally example of COVID where we were going through the online platform. And that is a time a lot of children suffered from mental health. They didn't have social bonding with other children. So actually, this problem stopped when the school started and the normal curriculum happened. I've seen it in my own house. So as a doctor, I can say that it's directly proportional probably to distance studying. So are we catering to the mental health of children when we are actually talking of online studies?
So I get what you say now. Online schooling, when we talk about, we miss the fact that you need the freedom to move out and interact on a human basis. Because we're going so fast in the digital age, we miss out. You know, we like online so much that everything is about your phone. I mean, I see, again, the examples are at home. I see my daughters on the phone, on the iPad when they're not doing anything or they're at home. It's saddening for me because I feel I can send them to a class instead. I can make them get them better in some kind of skills. I do send them, but again, when they come back, it's so addictive, you know, and that time and there's not much you can do. I cannot be like a strict parent, so strict that, you know, they start crying. You have to have, as you said very correctly, there needs to be, now that the new parent has started, which I've seen my friends who've got children who are like a year or two, or maybe 2 or 3 years old, they give them the phone or the iPad just for maybe an hour a day. That's it. And they're okay with that because वो training ऐसी हुई है. So it really helps mentally also for the child because that child is not into the phone or the iPad. You know, the child is, you know, interacting, doing some skills, playing with some kind of toys with other children. So I think this way, this is the way to go about it, I feel now, for the new parent or for the new Gen Alpha parents.
I'd like to sort of look at this from two perspectives. One, that COVID was an unusual time. I think our grandparents, parents, us, I don't think we saw a time like that. Just because a kid is going to online school doesn't mean that the kid will not meet other kids today. They will have play groups, they'll have people in the building, society, whatever else that they're doing. Like this girl, I keep mentioning her, God bless her. She's playing tennis, she's doing whatever, she's doing her classes and everything. Just her schooling is online in order for her to give her the flexibility that she needs. So I don't think COVID is an adequate example because everyone was shut down into rooms, into boxes literally in Bombay and in Delhi, in bungalows or whatever. That is not a good example, I don't think. Because I think not just children, but adults had to go and seek therapy because that was a terrible, terrible time in many ways. Not for me, I'm an introvert, I loved it. But for most people in the world, the pandemic was a very, very harsh reality where, all of us had gone through our own challenges. So because there is online schooling, will not necessarily mean in normal times that the child has no social interaction with its peer group. It could be cousins, friends, family, they're free to meet. So that was a unique time. I don't think one should pull the COVID example to this normal time.
The idea of asking was to the founders, to consider mental health also as part of the online schooling platform.
Also, it's not like कि जो हमारे traditional schools से हमने mental health problems नहीं होती है. अभी पिछले सेशन में अभिराज बात कर रहे थे कि 8th क्लास तक उनको स्कूल से नफरत थी, उनको पसंद नहीं था जाना. सेम विद मी ऑल्सो. तो पहले भी ऐसा हुआ है, बट हमारे पेरेंट्स शायद इतने एजुकेटेड नहीं थे इस बारे में, हमारी मेंटल हेल्थ के बारे में, या फिर हम खुद भी नहीं थे, क्योंकि अगर हमें खुद भी पता होता कि डिप्रेशन जैसी कोई चीज़ होती है या मेंटल हेल्थ जैसी कुछ चीज़ होती है, तो शायद हम भी बोलते कि हमें भी मेंटल हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम्स थी, बट वो हम निकल गए उस फेज से। तो उस वक्त भी होता था, ट्रेडिशनल स्कूल में भी होता है मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज़, वो तो कहीं भी हो सकता है, वो ऑनलाइन भी हो सकता है, ऑफलाइन भी हो सकता है। आप कोई क्लास ले रहे हो, आप सिर्फ वोकेशनल क्लासेस ले रहे हो आप जॉब के साथ, तो वहाँ पे भी हो सकता है, इट कैन बी एनीवेयर। तो बीट ऑनलाइन बीट ऑफलाइन, वी नीड टू एड्रेस द प्रॉब्लम, वी नीड टू एड्रेस द प्रॉब्लम, तो दैट इज़ द मेन इशू। ऑल्सो अभी इन्वेस्टर्स से आप बात कर ही रहे थे, तो देर इज़ अ वन चैलेंज ऑल्सो। हम ट्राई करते हैं कि अपने बच्चों को जितना हो सके स्क्रीन फ्री रखा जा सके, बट जब ऑनलाइन स्कूल्स की बात करेंगे तो अल्टीमेटली हम खुद उनको स्क्रीन टाइम पकड़ा रहे हैं, तो वहाँ पर हमें खुद को फिर डिसिप्लिन रखना, मोटिवेट करना, एनकरेज करना कि एक पर्टिकुलर टाइम पीरियड ही हो तभी आप स्क्रीन देख सकते हो, तो वो एक डिसिप्लिन सेट करेंगे तो ज़्यादा हम इस प्रॉब्लम से आगे निकल पाएंगे। ऑल्सो इन्वेस्टर्स या एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जो है वो भी शायद इसका कोई प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन निकाल पाए।
Thank you so much, Ms. Neha, Ms. Chopra, Mr. Bora. It's been indeed lovely having you here today. Thank you so much for this conversation. I'm sure this was an insightful one for the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for our panel.
You know, one sec, before you guys go, I came from Jaipur. I just thought you guys would like some Rajasthani mithai. So I've got for both of you all actually. You know, lekar aana tho. I don't know if you, yeah, I really thought, you know what?
How sweet, how sweet.
Yeah.
I think there should be a special round of applause for this beautiful gesture.
So this is a very traditional ghevar from Rajasthan. That's for you. No, you can, yeah. Okay. ये वापस आपके पास ही रखना.
Karan, a very important, I will say, interesting question to ask.
And this is feeni, okay? Our Rajasthani says, so please take it home, enjoy it. It's delicious. Yeah, very. No, you love it, you love it. So I just thought I'll give this. Yeah.
But looking at it, like looking at you, Karan, you are so fit and distributing mithais.
See,
Wow.
I'm a Rajasthani. I eat mithais. I look fit, but I eat mithais. I cannot stop. It's not. Seriously, man. You know, that's one thing I don't stop myself. When I have to cheat, I will cheat. I will eat. But when I have to work out, I'll work out.
How beautiful. What a wonderful message. Thank you very much, esteemed panelists, for sharing your thoughts and views. And I think we can have one of the loudest round of applause of this evening for this wonderful session and wonderful personalities on stage. Let's have one group photography session. And also for our wonderful moderator. Can we have a round of applause for him as well, everybody, for the wonderful questions? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. So now, ladies and gentlemen, before I welcome on stage a very special personality for the closing address, may I request you all, please don't leave before enjoying the networking dinner, and also the books are there at the registration desk, so please go and collect your books. Now, please help me to welcome Ms. Aruna Shetty, Head of Schools at 21K Schools. Please help us, everybody, to join us. Ms. Aruna Shetty for the closing address. Can we have a little more round of applause, everybody? We had a wonderful day together.
Well, I think we had a great evening with all experts speak, parents speak, some celebrities speak their minds out, and we've gained perspective on online schooling. Oh, there's a celebrity session going on there. I think I'm just going to wait for 2 minutes till we finish with the photographs.
Well, just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, please do collect the books from the registration desk. And also, please do enjoy the networking dinner.
Well, I think you all also must be waiting to have dinner. So let me quickly summarize the day. As digital transformation continues to reshape the global education landscape, online schooling has revolutionized the way learning is delivered, breaking geographical barriers and making quality education accessible to learners worldwide. Today's summit delved into how online education can effectively equip students for future careers while addressing key challenges such as student engagement, digital literacy, cyber safety, with thought-provoking insights from our experts who joined us today. India is experiencing a significant shift in education, with online schooling gaining traction due to its flexibility, personalized learning experiences, and broader accessibility. Today's discussion explored ways to enhance digital infrastructure by leveraging AI-driven platforms and personalized learning that cater to each student's unique pace and style while focusing on affordability. Panelists emphasized the importance of implementing robust measures, AI-powered monitoring systems, and digital literacy programs for learners, parents, and educators. The need for stringent, responsible online practices and proactive cyber awareness initiatives was highlighted as essential for creating a safe and secure virtual learning environment. The shift from traditional textbooks to AI-enhanced interactive and immersive content is redefining education. Online schools are harnessing gamification, virtual reality, augmented reality, and adaptive learning technologies to improve student engagement and retention. The discussion underscored the need to cultivate critical thinking, creativity, and digital literacy skills to prepare students for an AI-driven world. A valuable addition to the discussion was the perspective of the parents who joined us today, who recognized online schooling as an evolving model that offers a personalized, flexible, and global accessible learning experience. They emphasize that ensuring a secure digital learning environment while allowing children the flexibility to explore their passions and interests makes online education an increasingly viable option. The summit reaffirmed that when implemented effectively, online schooling has the potential to redefine education and career readiness in an ever-evolving world. However, achieving this vision requires ensuring equitable access, strengthening cybersecurity, and enhancing the digital learning experience. A collaborative effort among educators, policymakers, and technology leaders will be key to building a safe, inclusive, and future-ready education system. The insights shared by parents and Mr. Yashwant added a valuable dimension to the discussion, highlighting the growing acceptance of online schooling. The presence of industry leaders, education experts, policymakers, and thought leaders at today's summit has sparked a crucial dialogue on reimagining the right to excellence in education, one that must include online schooling as a core component of the future of learning. And as the panelists said, India is aiming to be a Vishwaguru. Let's think of unifying diversity in education. Thank you so much. Have a great evening ahead.
Well, thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please collect your books from the registration desk and please do enjoy the networking dinner. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Keep smiling and see you very soon. Take care. In India, we never say goodbye. We always say see you soon. Thank you. Thank you.